Ladies and gentlemen, hello, hello. I am End of the Line, and joining me here for this, the PSN Festival of Combat for North America, is the wonderful, the amazing, the slightly. He's something's captured. He's transfixed by the Earth Tree or something here by the looks of things. Hello, Dante. How are you keeping?
Live. That's right. I am here. I am live. I am ready to go. I'm excited. Yesterday was very exciting. We got to see Whitnake, no mistake, Whitnake come back again and remain victorious. What is that? Two, three in a row? I don't
That's
know how
two.
many.
That's two tourneys in a row. He's come in and just shown them all the what's what in
Yeah,
the EU
incredible.
side of the PSN tourneys. Yeah, again, incredible display there. The Uggs poke there versus the dual codeds come the end was an absolutely incredible match. I was over the moon to be watching that, and I get to actually cast today. Imagine. Although, is there any other matches from yesterday that kind of like really made something exciting happen?
Well, for me, I like seeing matches that you don't normally see. So we got to see a couple katanas versus each other. I think it was
Hmm.
Moonveil versus I always forget the name of them, the gigantic katanas, the dual katanas.
The
Um,
Nagahibas, yes, yes, yes.
Nagahibas. And so it was cool to see that. And I actually think the Nagahibas, I think with more practice, those can actually be more competitive than people think. But sadly, the katana users had to go against each other, so we couldn't see katana
Hmm.
versus colossal or versus dual straight swords. So, the variety isn't as much as I'd want. We obviously see colossal sort of taking over most of the time. But again, when you get to colossal mirrors, which don't happen as often as you might think they would, it is kind of fun to watch the sort of back and forth play to see how grounded all these players can be and how well they can read their opponents and play sort of the more basic style. Even though you have to be well versed in the crouching and then regaining your stamina and
Yeah,
understanding spacing and everything like that, obvious. But with the new rules of sort of limiting more and more colossals, I do find it more interesting now to see what people can do.
I will tell you the one highlight from yesterday was the scythe coming out against, wasn't it a
Yeah.
colossal, if I believe, on the side of Huth, going in for that backstab finish at the last. I have to say, I think I messaged you. It's like, yeah, sorry, I didn't get the password out. I was a little bit too hyped on
That's true. Yeah.
just a little bit too hype after that one. But yeah, and again, we are going to have an exciting bracket here today. If you exclamation point child, it'll take you to the full brackets and give you the full rules as we are looking at Veggie versus Arrhythmic Pulse, Zavadi versus Darth Lego, and then we have Inservants versus whoever wins the Veggie match, and Slave Knight
Yes.
Cost will be that in that round too. Mendax, Verax, say that one quick, versus Alucard again on the other side of the bracket, and Tempestuous Atmosphere versus the Golden Top will eventually move on to fight Mark Voso. That was a mouthful, another mouthful. Gee, the PlayStation players really know how to make their names.
Yeah, I
Versus
mean,
Snapcaster. And
yeah.
what do you think? What are you expecting here today as we're going to move on?
Well, firstly, we have 12 players here, whereas yesterday we had 16
Mhm.
players. Come on, NA, what are you doing? I know EU has like 50 countries there, but still, what's going on, NA? We need more players in NA, and you can follow the Discord and be in the rankings if you
Yeah.
fight other players. So do that if you can. It should be in the Twitch chat. But I do. We've seen a bunch of these players in previous tournaments. Inservin, I'm looking at Inservin, and he is actually ranked. He's got the highest seed here. I am actually looking at him to be the front runner. If I had to guess, I would say Inservin as the higher, or if not the highest chance to win here. That's sort of how it goes. Usually, the higher the seed, the better. That's kind of how rankings go, and you get these rankings on the Discord
Mhm.
through fighting other players. So you see that number 2 is Snapcaster, Markavoso's 3, and Slave Knight Koss is 4, and they get the buy round, as you
Yep.
can see on the challenge. And I do find it interesting because we don't have double elimination this time, so there is no comeback. You
Yeah.
lose if this is the first time you've ever faced, Veg Georgie,
Mhm.
and they do something weird you've never seen. You really got to be on your toes, especially the first couple rounds, which is only best 2 out of 3. I mean, anyone can lose to anything they haven't seen, right?
Oh, for
So
sure.
that could happen here. I mean, you could see some sort of crazy thing from Alucard or Gold Top. A couple of these names I haven't seen in the tournaments before, so I'm not exactly sure what they bring to the table. So I'm very curious if they are going to show something weird and maybe move on, maybe have an upset against a couple of these players.
Yeah, and again, there is some pretty stiff competition here. I know Snapcaster's been in most of these tourneys, and again, that experience in competing can make a huge difference. Nerves are an issue. I know it's not a physical sport or it's not a physical game that we're playing here, but nerves can definitely play a part. And the more experience, the more tournaments you have been in, the better advantage you are at trying to, you know, relax yourself, calm down, and realize, you know, it's a video game. I know what's happening here because it can hit some people pretty hard, and I know they're very much not expecting it. But I think we're pretty much ready to get going on this here today, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to have, of course, Veggie versus Arrhythmic Pulse. And Dante, both of our contestants are in. I believe it's Veggie in the far corner, Pulse here in the near. Ladies and gentlemen, Dante, would
Yeah,
you give us the call in?
let's do it up. I'm excited. 3, 2, 1, fire!
And the bolt is out, as we are going to see. We are going to see moving over here, trying to get the telescope here very quickly, ladies and gentlemen. We can see both of our players are going for their physics, as we are going to see Ice Spear coming out here on the side of Pulse. That's an interesting one.
We get
as
some
Veggie,
spells.
Yeah, and we have Veggie here on the dual katana as well, going for that lightning urn. However, not really able to get a poise break out of that. We are going to see an awful lot of these frost spells coming out, though, all the way. What? I'm not sure. Out comes the Halberd Estoc versus these dual katanas, ladies and gentlemen. As we
This
see,
is not a combo you see often.
not very often. The dual katana, it's not a matchup I'm particularly used to, as Magebird was very popular. Out comes that Ice Spear out from neutral, yet again, not managed to get anything, not really able to get positional advantage on it either, as we do see the Physic. Another Ice Spear from neutral here, probably trying to set up for something, maybe trying to punish for a Moonveil swap or something. Hits him for 341 damage there, forcing him into the corner. Veggie is, however, to get up, not able to avoid that though.
Oh, that
as
was
he's
it.
gonna get the trade with the Ice Spear.
Yeah, how? I thought that was you get broken out easy. I gotta say, I loved what a Rhythmic Pulse was doing there. They were using a lot of stuff. I like you just never see it, right? So right hand, you have the halberd. Left hand, you have a staff. He did the I don't remember the name, but the ice swipe
Yes,
thing. And
the Adula's Moon something or other. I can't quite
it's
recall the name of it, but yes.
it has large range, heavy damage if you hit it, but it is slow. It's a roll catch potential if it's something you're not expecting.
Mm,
You know, you sort of panic roll thinking it's going to be something like Slicer, which he also used there, which is very scary, very quick, and has
yeah.
a long hitbox that you have to roll. You just have to because the hitbox doesn't make any sense. So I like what Pulse was doing there. The only issues I see is passivity. Passivity can kill him if he can get in and pressure somebody with these spells. I
Yeah.
can see him actually going far, but what did you think about that one?
One of the things that we've seen very early on, at least the PC fight clubs, we've seen enough. I call them neutral poke bird. You either have magic or you have an incantation. So in other words, you have your Swift Glintstone Shard, or you have your what's it called? Bestial Sling. You have those. And they're very, very good for forcing your opponent to try and engage from neutral. They're not able to just chill out in neutral and wait for those opportunities. You really force the onus to be on them to actually come in and engage. It is an incredibly useful tool, incredibly useful tool. But you
So
have to be very careful because you can get flash pressure to death. So if,
well, I
in
mean,
other
is
words,
that what you're looking for against Pulse? I mean, are you looking for to try to make Pulse to act? So is Georgie gonna come back in here and use a bestial sling to try to mess with his casting or something? I mean, what
No,
do you think Georgie should do?
what I imagine we're gonna see here is we're gonna see Georgie have to aggress much more than he already did. If he plays this passively, he's just gonna get chipped down slowly but surely, and it's not going to end particularly well for him, unfortunately. He's gonna have to find that aggression, use those jumping attacks, because the Halberd does not have a solid anti-air game. It's a really good neutral game and a really good punish for aggression. If they come in on across on the horizontal surface, they're going to take damage. But if they do those jumping attacks, he has to really set up for those ice spears, and he could be knocked out of it very early, especially if he has Slicer. He cannot use that really high poise to be able to tank it and then come in. and basically like run those running attack vortex after the fact.
Did
But
we see a jump at all? Did anyone jump?
I don't believe we've seen Georgie go for the jumps there. Again, I wouldn't imagine we'd see it, but we might see it this round as we have a Rhythmic Pulse here going for the bow, sportsmanship to the last, and Ved Georgie in the far corner. All right, Dante, give us the count in.
Three, two, one, go. I will say this could be a thing because Elden Ring, is still relatively new, and obviously jumping is a new tech.
Hmm.
I see some people. Oh, there we go. There's some
Yeah, there's
jumps.
the jumping attacks. He must be listening to the stream, I
Yeah,
think,
right.
Dante, because he definitely has a good idea.
Ooh,
However, he's going to run in for about 220 damage there. That's probably, unfortunate.
nice.
Another jumping attack. Out comes that Ice Spear. He has to be careful with this aggression here, because he is going to walk into an Ice Spear, and that can basically take away half his health. Out comes another jumping attack. Out comes another... I believe that was a
I
Swift
didn't
Wind
see what that
Snowshoe.
was.
It was some mage shenanigans. There we go. That's a considerable amount of damage that he's after taking there. Out comes the spark perfume.
That's interesting.
Oof.
How many ice spears does
Oh,
it?
it's not gonna matter because
Oh,
what did I say about that flask
that's
pressure?
yeah. You're right, man. So that was like 600 damage right at the end.
Oh yeah,
And how many ice spears does it take to frost someone? Because he hit him like 2 or 3 times in that match, and I don't think
yeah.
he got frosted.
It's possible that he's put on the talisman, which boosts his
I
robustness,
wonder.
which that I would imagine will be the play there. Again, that was a nasty one there at the end.
He
Again, he was doing so well.
That's
Like,
crazy. I gotta say that was like a complete role reversal, right? So he kind of got messed up in the first match, and then he completely changed up how he was playing because obviously it didn't work out in the first match. He was getting hit by just about
yeah.
everything. Probably not used to anyone using spells and a halberd, because I mean, who is, if I'm being honest? And so I think he just sort of recalibrated himself. He said, "Hey, here's what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna do jumps. They only have like sort of a more horizontal. There's no verticality to the
That
halberd.
halberd, yeah.
So I wonder if that means a rhythmic pulse is now gonna be more spell heavy and try to keep doing that rather than even use the halberd at all.
So
Maybe
for me, in my experience fighting mages, I wouldn't consider myself a particularly good mage or even like a kind of a halberd mage or anything like that. I'm not really fond of it. Throwing out something like a shared spiral or something like that to give yourself the space where they can't really aggress quite as freely. They're worried about getting caught by something like that. It can really give you the space to be able to get that flask off. Not completely unimpeded, you still need to make that space. But in fighting Bevan early on, that was a tool that they used to great effect to just ease off the pressure a little bit, just to give you that little bit more space. But we are on 1-1, Dante. I might think
1-1.
we need to count it in.
I'm ready to go. 3, 2, 1. Let's finalize this.
And there we have a match point now. Vejorgi in the far corner, and we have a Rhythmic Pulse here in the near. We see these spells here from neutral. He's going to go for the flask. I'm not sure if both of them went for the
Oh, he
flask there.
stunned him.
Managed to catch him there. I believe could have been a headshot there. However, we
Uh-oh.
are going. Oh my god! I don't think I've ever seen that
Wow.
spell. There we go. Out comes the iceberg, but he's out of his blue. He is going
I
to have to
didn't know.
find that space there. He's been
That
very
stun's close
careful.
up. And it looks like it combos close up if someone's too close with
Oh,
the
it
spin.
very much does. The entire thing does catch. We do see the tier pop here. Veggie's going to have to be really careful here. He is trying to keep the pressure here so we can flash pressure him. However, he is going to
Unlucky
go for a
trade.
trade there. Oh, that's 361 damage there on that jumping attack. Didn't catch him with the full one, as we are going to see now that the Starlight Chair come out there. No, not the
Oh,
Starlight Chair.
is he?
Oh, he's so close to death.
Oh my
Almost catches him
goodness.
there with the roll catch, and that's
The
the
trade.
halberd there to put him away on that last one, meaning a Rhythmic Pulse is going to move on to those next rounds. Dante, you said you wanted more mages in these. You
I
said you
just
wanted...
want more different. I just want more anything else. And I'm excited. Now, I will say I have seen some mistakes there. The problem with Georgie there is Georgie got behind early and trying to come back. Georgie also had a couple mistakes with crouching. He stayed crouched. He didn't jump and do an L1, I think, when he was jumping after him, which would have doubled his damage. There's a couple mistakes Georgie did there where I think, obviously a little bit more practice, he'll be able to maybe deal with a certain situation a little bit better. But Rhythmic Pulse got out early in the lead, sort of was winning the trades in that they were already ahead, so you win the trades
Mm.
usually when you're ahead. And it was kind of insurmountable for Georgia to come back, but it was still a fun fight to watch just to see what the players can do. He launched his spell, which has a crazy AOE. If he would have actually put that closer down to his feet, he would have hit him for sure.
Yeah,
But
and again, you gotta be so careful against going up against that because if you get clipped by that ice spear, you're gonna be put away super quick. I think it can more or less two-shot you, and again, it's a pretty rough one. But it has quite a long startup. You have to be really in close or being
yep, really
very much
close.
over aggressive in order to be clipped by it. You gotta kind of have to find that spacing. Spacing in mages in against mages in this game is very, very different than it was, we'll say, in like something like 3 or in prior games. You have to find your distance, the proper distance to exist in neutral against it at a very particular spot, depending on the setup that they have. It's not quite as by the books. I stay at this distance permanently, and that shuts them down. It's I have to stay X distance if they have slicer. I have to stay X distance if they're using something like a duelist moonblade.
Yep.
That there's just so much that you have to be aware of in this game. So it can definitely learning their inventory, their spell inventory, can be very, very important in trying to aggress them correctly. But we
Yeah,
did we see
especially if you don't
slicer
know it.
there? I don't think
We
we've seen
we didn't
slicer
see it.
there at all.
No, we didn't see it there, which was kind of surprising. I think we saw only the first match, and we didn't see it at all again, which is interesting because I think Slicer, a lot of people would agree, is one of the best spells out there
Uh,
for the damage, speed, and range. So it was kind of surprising. And like you said, keeping pressure on Mage is important, but at the same time, because there are things like Slicer, which he had, it's very difficult because that speed and
yeah.
damage is so tough. So you don't want to put yourself in the range. But then if you get too far, then he could blast you with the freaking magic bomb, and it's like, and with this arena because it's essentially three walls,
Yeah.
and the opening, you even have the walls to continue the AOE, so it's almost harder to miss. And so
Yeah.
it could be dangerous. Like you have to know what he has. Like you said, you have to
Yep.
know his spells. You have to know his inventory to see what he's doing,
Yeah.
and
And
that's the
again,
way you can get around it.
just as a very quick reminder, when Carrion Slicer is slotted under this rule set, so when you have it
Okay.
equipped, Flaming Strike, Storm Stomp, and Quick Step are banned, and of course the weapons, so the staves in this case is Lusat's Carrion Glintstone Staff. When you're above 49 poise, because of the casting speed and stuff like that, you very much have to go for a investment. And I believe there's some damage that can be got off of some of the other staves as well. Again, Slicer is very strong in the very, very strong in the rule set. It's strong in any rule
Yeah.
set because it's just it can do so much damage and it's so fast. And the recovery on it isn't too bad either. But we'll be moving on to this next round. I'll be super excited to see how Inservan and Arrhythmic Pulse will do in the round two. But
Yep.
we are
Yep.
moving on now to Zavadi versus Darth Lingo in this next one, who will go on to fight Koss in the second one, in the second round, whichever of these get through. And yeah, again, looking at these brackets, again, I'm not a PlayStation player. I do not have the pleasure of fighting against these. Some of the familiar faces we've seen Snapcaster before, Tempestuous Atmosphere, I believe Marcovoso, who's been there as well. I've seen a good number of these people fighting. Of course, and Servan was very strong on his dual coded during the last Fight Club that myself and KH Knight hosted, which of course are done every Friday. So it's going to be pretty interesting. Do you have any more insight into this next fight, or are these two going to be a surprise,
Zawadi,
as much a
Darth
surprise for
Lego.
you? Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, because a lot of people tend to switch. I mean, there's some people who have mainstay type of weapons that they sort of master.
Mm-hmm.
They can honestly use just a couple different weapons. I don't know what they have this tournament yet. But I will say, if they do have a Colossal, we do have some changes with the Colossal, which is that a couple more are banned. So if you have a main hand, one hand, or two hand Colossal sword, you only have a 49 max poise. That's what we
Yes.
limit it to because it's already powerful. You cannot use the Bull Goat talisman, the Spear talisman. You can't use Storm Stomp or Quick Step.
Mm-hmm.
And now Great Swords, Zweihander, Watchdog Great Sword, Royal Great Sword, and Malekith's Blackblade are all banned. You can use all other
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Colossals.
we will remain to be seen what people use as we have Zavadi in the far corner Darth Lego here in the near
Great
one.
thrusting versus
Versus a
I don't know yet.
light roll. Okay,
Yeah, that's
okay.
gonna be interesting.
All right
Maybe a
then.
punish start.
Yeah. Give us the countdown there, Dante. At your leisure, my friend.
3, 2, 1, go.
There we have it. The bolt is out. We are going to see the punish right off the bat. However, that light roll is going to
What
come
does
in
he
clutch.
have?
I'm not sure what's in his offhand here. I'm now that we see Bestial Sling come out here. Is
Oh,
that
he
a
was
dagger?
two-handing. He was two-handing
Oh, his
a
incant.
cast.
Yeah, the cast
Yeah.
incantation tool. That's interesting. He is going to be hit for 266 damage there on that beast roar there. We see another. Is he just using a pure incantation build?
Well, he's got a dagger, I think, in his right hand.
That seems to be it. As we are going to see these bestial slings come out here.
It's
That's
working.
It's doing an awful lot of damage here. Again,
Yeah.
Lego's going to have to be super careful in his advance. He goes for a two-handed thrusting sword here. It seems to
Do
have moved.
incantations scale with whatever the equivalent Flynn talisman?
I'm not sure, but depends entirely on the damage type that they do. I mean, Bestial
Oh,
Sling
we tried it.
might, but he's going to be knocked out of it there. Again, that light roll is only going to be handy if you can, in fact, roll, but being stuck in an animation is going to
It is
cost you that.
shockingly even right now. Oh,
Woo!
not
That is
anymore.
yeah, he spoke a little bit too soon there, Dante.
Caster curse.
As
Oh, he's
gonna
just
go-
stunning him out of it. Oh, he's out.
this-
No. Wow. I mean, I gotta say, it was working for Zawadi, and I think he made very few mistakes that cost him. I think that was his to win. I think he had that. If he would have did a couple R1s when he was close up with the dagger just to keep him off his scent, to stop the aggression and stop a little bit of the poking, I
Mhm.
think he would have won because he had him down fairly low until he had his physic proc. So that was pretty interesting. I think he can win. Like it looks crazy, but I think this matchup specifically, he can win. He's not taking
Well,
that much damage. He has the ability to take a couple hits.
he can definitely take a couple of hits, but he has to, the light roll is incredibly strong. I've spoken with Stilovsky, our great fan of aviation, who was going on at length about the strength of light rolls. And you can escape Moog's weapon art with that, the blood ritual. You can just escape
Oh,
it
okay.
with a couple of rolls at almost no consequence. It's crazy what you can do with these light
Yeah,
rolls. And, we've seen it there. He wasn't really able to hit him until Zavadi very much overcommitted. If Zavadi overcommitted, it was all over. He stood there, he tried to do a
that's
couple
true.
of funky incantations. What might be might be worth looking at is Endure. Just to be able to tank some of that stuff might actually be the play. To just kind of chill, cast that Endure, and now you're able to get those madness incants
Yeah.
out with almost no consequence. But
We
he's
don't
on.
know his Ash of War on his dagger either,
How
right? We
much do
didn't
you
see
want to bet
anything.
that it's a parry? How much do you want to bet
I
that he's
I
put
actually
parry
would
on
bet
it?
it. I would bet it's Perry. I would bet it's like a Hail Mary at the end to try to maybe win something or be spectacular. I would bet. Yeah, I would agree with that.
But more on the light roll on that one. I think it's important to keep in mind as well. The running attack on a great thrusting sword, it's it's not able to catch.
Yeah, you
So
saw it
it's
there.
barely able to catch. In fact, if you have to have your spacing just perfect, they have to completely blunder their roll. Otherwise, that's a free save. That's a free save, and you can't roll. You can't combo them out of anything afterwards. It's like it's gonna be a really interesting matchup as we move on here into the second round between these two, which is of course it's 1-0. Zavadi's gonna have to find some way to make this work. I'm convinced he can. He was doing very well early on at the
Yeah.
start until, his opponent just kind of went, wait,
He
I can
just has
just
to
trade him to
manage.
death.
Yeah, he's got to manage his FP. Obviously, he literally died because he ran out of FP at the end. He would have kept stunning him right in his face with the
Mhm.
the fast casting of Bestial Sling, and it just he was doing a surprising amount of it was like 230 damage, I think, basically each hit, which is
Yeah.
not like what do you need? You need just about 9 or 10 of them for most players
Yeah. Yeah,
just to kill
apparently.
him.
And they can be quite difficult to dodge, especially if your roll discipline is off. But we will remains to be seen whether or not Darth Lego the Wise or Zvadi are going to be able to take this one. Dante, give us the count in.
3, 2, 1, go.
And there we have it. The bolt is out. Both of our players are. We're going to see the exact same as before. Going for
Oh,
that
nice.
lightning take
550 damage.
That's definitely gonna put a bit of an advantage. However, 474 there, almost even on health here, about 100 in the difference. Able to roll these out here. Goes for that jumping attack, trying to
That
get
went
maybe that
straight
combo.
up.
That's just a regular thrusting sword, I believe. I don't believe that's a heavy
Yeah,
thrusting sword.
he switched
Managed
over, I guess, faster.
Maybe slightly. He is going to switch over to what seems to be the Stitcher here. However,
Oh,
he's going to
that's
get
it.
Storm Stomp for his trouble. Did he
Wow,
just go for that
700
in
damage. Does
Oh my
that
word.
combo, or is that like...
Oh, but it's not going to
Oh, look at that! Wow. He just flamed. He set him on fire. He's like, get at him. The flame paper went in his face, and he's like, here's my magic trick. You're dead. That's it. And he's like, wow, Zavadi, the ledge, coming in here naked,
Yeah.
not afraid, going in there, throwing all the spells. You saw what he did there. He switched it up. He switched up to the flame combustion, everything.
Catch flame.
Catch
Yeah, he
flame. There we go.
caught flame him there on which, of course, true combos into the Storm Stomp L2, which is Storm Stomp is going to be. We now know at least what weapon art he had. You know, in
Yeah.
case there was any doubt before. There was no clutch parries going to come out. Unfortunately,
That was
Storm
fast
Stomp.
swapping too to the again, some of these I can't remember the names. It did damage. It was like the burst.
Oh, the kind of the Wrath of the Gods, the whole.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't recall quite the name off the top of my head, but yeah, it definitely did. Just boom straight away. Wrath of Gold. It's Wrath of Gold now.
Wrath of Gold.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. It's funny though, because it's like it looked like that comboed. So it was Storm Stomp into Wrath of Gold, and that did 700 damage. I'm not sure if he was attacking in it and didn't try to roll away, but it might be a roll catch there. So he might have experience with this that not a lot of people have seen, where Storm Stomp into Wrath of Gold works just about every time, except for like if someone's blocking. So that might actually be a legit combo that you might not be able to get out of.
Yeah,
So
well,
that
you
is
might
crazy.
even if you're not able to get out of it, you have to look at the opportunity cost of going for that damage, right? At the end of
Yeah.
the day, like, are you going to look cool, put him into a further disadvantaged state so you can get more damage, or would it be better in the off chance that maybe you don't manage to get that punish on wake up? Would it not be better to kind of go for something like a catch flame there, just to do insane amounts of damage? I'm not sure.
He might
Maybe
mix it up.
Zavadi has tested this, and this is the labbing, or maybe he did it just because it's like, look at what here's my magic trick, as you said,
I don't know. Based on what I saw, because he's not light rolling, based on what I saw, that Wrath of Gold has a large hitbox. It's pretty large for, I think, if you're right next to someone, which he was. I don't know if you could roll out of it in that timing. Maybe you can. I'm not 100%, because not a lot of
Yeah.
people use that, to be honest. But that's interesting. I think Zavadi's has something here. The catch flame, basically, don't stay close. But then if you go far away, you have to make sure you roll properly with the bestial sling, and that does about 200 a pop. So it's like you pick your poison almost. Very
Just don't get
interesting.
storm stomped. Just space it out, bro. Don't worry about it. That's like
Wow,
half
is that easy? Okay.
There we have it. Cleaning himself after how sweaty that last one was is our KH Knight. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Dante, give us the count in at your
We're
leisure.
1-1. Zavadi left. Darth Lego right. 3, 2, 1. Fire.
Ale, indeed, as the bolt is out, we are going to see Dart Lego kind of.
Yeah,
there
I
we
don't
go.
know.
He woke
Okay.
up. Listen, he was just checking something.
Oh,
Maybe.
look at that. I don't know. How do you get out of this? You can't
I
get
don't
out
think
of
he
that,
does. To be perfectly honest with you, he may be
right? He
frosted
didn't get
here.
frosted.
Dodge roll there, the running R2 here on the side of the Stitcher. However, will we see a switch over to the Rapier again, I wonder? Is that the tech?
If he's losing, he probably will.
Oh,
Nice.
there we go. Goes for the second one there to try and catch
I
the
guess
delayed
Storm
roll.
Stomp just broke through it. That's really hard to get out of. You have to know that you can punish that by rolling through, and if you're too close, it can't hit you.
Oh, they storm stomp into each
Double
other, however. Oh, the catch flame there.
Oh no, there it is. The Storm Stomp match. That's what it was. It was who can Storm Stomp more, essentially. And I can't believe how much poise that has. I mean, do we know the numbers on the poise break of that?
The poise break is above whatever this tournament has, so it's it's that's the. I think it goes to 100, 105 or something like that on Storm Stomp that it can just do
Okay.
poise damage. It's pretty big. You kind of have to go well above 100 in order to do it, which you need your full vets plus bull goat and all of that kind of nonsense to get through. But we are gonna see Zavadi as much of a fantastic
I
build.
liked it.
That's going to be a fan favorite, I think, for the day. And we are going to have to tell the allegory of Darth Lego the Wise here on this one, as he does move on to the next round and is going to fight Slave Knight Koss in the next round, as that was that. But when you're going up against those incantations, you spoke about going up against the frenzy incant.
Yeah.
What you mentioned the strategy. Can you elaborate a bit more on that and how to actually deal with that?
Okay, so I don't remember the names of each frenzy differently because they all have like frenzy in the name. So I
We'll
don't
call it
remember which one is
frenzy, yeah.
which. So there's one where you stand still, which he actually used the previous match, which is actually the better one because you can aim it upwards and get an insane range on it. And you basically, unless you're already right next to someone, even then you can't do anything because you can aim it down. So
Mhm.
that one's actually more scarier than the one he used in the last match was the one you can walk. But the problem with the one you can walk is after like 2 seconds of that casting, you stand still and you just do like a burst at the
Yeah.
end. And you
Yeah.
have to stand still and you have to burst for 2 or 3 seconds, however long that is. You can roll
Yeah.
out or roll through the whatever the mushroom part of it, and you can get close to someone and punish them because you can't aim that one. That one just does whatever it does.
Yeah,
So
for
you
sure.
can punish that one as far as I've seen and done. But the other
I'm
one is really good, and you can't really punish that one.
Yeah, the frenzied burst or whatever when it just fires the straight thing. The name of that incantation that was used is frenzied flame. That's a handy
Okay.
one to remember, funnily
Yeah.
enough. But yeah, trying to find your openings to actually punish it, because not only do you have to be worried about the initial part of it, you have to kind of pre-space, you have to space that one out. You also have to find the way in to actually get in. That's the trick. You have to wait until the end, be in a position to actually punish it.
Yes.
And I'd
Yeah.
imagine the running R2 on the heavy thrusting sword would probably be the play there. That would probably be the best way to close
Yeah.
that gap quickly, not build up too much madness. In your bit of downtime while you're waiting for your positioning, switch over to the focus talisman. That does a huge amount of work to actually get you in through there. But unfortunately, Darth Lego did in fact adapt.
Well,
Zavadi is
yeah.
unfortunately out. We won't be able to see him moving forward. Hopefully, we'll see him next time, because these in-camp builds are tons of fun. And now we have Mendax Verax versus Alucard.
Yeah.
There
We've
we
seen
have it.
Mendax before.
Yeah,
Um.
Mendax has been in. I think I'm fairly sure we've had him in a couple of our tournaments so far. And I'm not sure about Alucard. Alucard might be a fresh face, which is
Yeah. I
wonderful
think
to
he's a little
see.
fresh.
It's wonderful to see more green players come in slowly but surely. And again, ladies and gentlemen, if you are looking for the full rule set for this and the full bracket, exclamation point chal will bring you to the challenge, in which you can look at all of the rules. There are a ton of them here for specific setups, which is one of the beauties of Elden Ring, is we can adjust poise values and do all that wonderful stuff. And thank you to the scientists at ERPVP, which you can exclamation point ERPVP to get into the server and get access to these tournaments, access to the leaderboard, and you'll have an absolute pleasure to look all the way across here. But moving on now, Dante, what are you expecting we're going to see an awful lot of moving? Well, never mind, as we are going to see
Let's
cleaned
clean
of
up
that
the
last
act.
time. Yeah, clean up the act,
Whoa, whoa,
Dante.
what kind of sorcery are we seeing here from Mendax? Are they
Sure.
confident?
They
Do they have a special talisman on for fashion souls? What is happening
maybe.
here?
I'm not sure, but they're definitely looking forward to it, as we have Alucard here in the near corner. Mendax Varax at the far. Dante, count us in.
3, 2, 1, go. That is
There we.
confidence when you have that talisman of the
Oh
of the
yeah.
living.
Out it comes. Here we are going to see.
Oh, the
Oh,
punish!
that is a
Oh, the
considerable amount of damage
spell.
right off the bat here. I think Alucard could have come in there for a punish. That was a kind of an interesting choice there. However, he's definitely come in that time for the punish. Punishing Mendex Varax for his overconfidence. Out comes that shared spiral there. However, Alucard is having absolutely none of it. Very, very aggressive play here on the side of Alucard.
Yeah, you have to
Really
be.
grabbing
I
it
mean,
out. Out comes the Slicer. We have Slicer. We were talking about it earlier on. We're going to see some insane amounts of damage coming out on this one. As we see the Shard Spiral, out comes that. I believe that is the
I would like
Comet.
to see a rolling attack there. I like the aggression of Alucard. This is what you need to do against this. I mean, obviously, Carrion Slicer's rough, but you're probably going to win the trades here, and you are ahead. So this is what you should go for. Nice jump attack there. Didn't get him because the fast casting, and I believe he's fast rolling as well.
I
Yeah, he's
would
fast
believe, yeah,
rolling.
most
Yeah, yeah.
definitely is, as he managed to get his flask out there. We see Alucard in hot pursuit, however, he is
Uh-oh.
going to walk into a considerable amount of damage there. Out it comes, tries to land the jumping, out comes the
Storm.
Storm Stout. Got to be rope.
Ow. Ow. I don't even
That's
understand how.
that's quite unfortunate, and we are going to see. Are we going to see a flask here? I'm expecting us to see a flask here.
Nice job. Nice
Oof.
job with Mendax getting that sort of putting the pressure on him with these spells and then coming in for the carrion. There it is. There it is. Nice job, Mendax. I got to hand it to him. I mean, I will say a couple mistakes by Alucard there, not putting on the pressure. Obviously, you always got to be afraid of Carrion Slicer. But again, you have to understand that you don't have infinite FP. So when
Yeah.
someone casts a couple spells, you put the pressure on and you keep the pressure so that they can't chug and they can't replenish. Therefore, you are now dictating the match and you
Yeah.
make them on the back foot, and then that's where you can come back. You might be able to, you might take a couple hits early on, but you take a couple to give many and to dictate the match. And I think that was a little bit of a mistake by Alucard, but we'll see what happens in the second fight. Mendax up 1-zip. What'd you think about Mendax's play right there?
Mendax played that very intelligently. Again, mages have such a have so many tools at their disposal to try and force aggression. Alucard wasn't really able to adapt and find his way in, unfortunately. So if we look at it there, like Alucard ate a couple of hits, tried to find that aggression, missed, completely missed the opportunity to punish the flask. Super, super unfortunate, and that's your opportunity to get very high damage in. But it's also an opportunity for Alucard to kind of feign going for the flask, because you can play against someone and
True.
you see them kind of like backpedaling a little bit, trying to find their way in, and you're like, okay, now's my opportunity. He's either one in his menu or he's going for a some kind of consumable. I can then use that opportunity to aggress. But if they're setting up, if they're conditioning you,
Yeah.
they have a slicer waiting for you, which is like 500 damage if you're not
Yeah, but
careful.
again, that's where you count the FP. You count the
Yeah,
spells, and you
yeah,
you need, especially since you saw him chug a couple times. So you should know. I mean, obviously, you're not going to know exactly because you don't know exactly how much he has as far as the mind. But
yeah, for
you
sure.
but you see it happen once, and you gotta take that chance. You gotta take the opportunity to actually go in because again,
Oh.
500 damage to give 1,000, that's worth it. And that could win you the match if they can never cast a spell again. Because they don't have, I don't think they have any other offhand weapon either. So what are they going to do?
Well, I don't know what they're gonna do, and I'm not quite sure what Knight is gonna do next here on our OBS. As we have both of our players in, Dante,
Three,
give us the one stover.
2, 1, go.
Kaboom! Out comes the crossbow. We are going to see these
Oh,
punishes right off the bat as well. The
yeah.
comets are going to come out. However, we do see the flask here on the side of Alucard. Is he light rolling now? Has he
Um,
seen the light? Has he been talking to Steel? Is that what's going on here? Out comes
how
the
light are
frost
those
up.
spears though? No, he's not
No,
light
he
rolling.
isn't.
Damn
He's
it.
not. He's adjusted his poise for the twin spears. He's going to go for that high damage. The
Nice,
high damage he
nice
is.
roll catch.
Oh my god, that's a lot of damage. However, he still has to be super careful against the
Pressure.
slicer.
Alucard's got a pressure.
He's got to keep on top of it.
There it
And
is.
pressure
That's
he
it.
is as he puts him away.
Wow, that was 3 hits, 2 roll catches, and then 1 hit in the corner there. Wow. I mean, what is the defense and HP on Mendax here? I mean,
I'm
maybe I think he's gonna switch his talisman. What do you think? Do you want to take bets? Is he gonna switch his talisman out?
He's gonna have to be super careful in this one. I mean, like maybe he could be dedicated to the drip. That's a possibility. But
Yeah, that's true.
there is a considerable amount of money at the end of this. So maybe that talisman might have been a bit of an unfortunate turnaround. Against Power Stance, I believe that was Power Stance Spears. It was that Power Stance. I think it was Great Spears. I believe, if I'm unmistaken.
Yeah, I think it
You
was
have
great
to be
spears.
super careful. Like true They don't have the opportunity to do an awful lot of damage. They can get one hit in and then they can move out. True, it's going to hit like a truck, but their ability to snowball after that fact into further damage is not like an ultra, where you hit like a truck and then you continue to do it until the other
Sure.
person sees a loading screen. With this, it's hit, skitter away, find your next opportunity, move in, maybe get an extra bit of damage if you've conditioned them to stay in afterwards and try and get some counter pressure in. It was normal spears, I believe we have in this one, which are slightly
Oh,
different, but
okay.
again, very trade heavy setup. Which the slicer is going to do a little bit of poise damage. So yeah, it's going to be unfortunate, but we
He
are
got
going
him
to
with the
see
roll catches. That's what it was.
very
3
nasty.
hits, and it's interesting because it sort of shows you because there are difference in weapons, and he completely changed what he was using. Maybe Mendax isn't as used to the timings of dual spears, and because it's getting roll caught by something like the colossal crouch poke is easy. Like
Hmm.
everyone's made that mistake because it's so fast, it's so pressuring. But if you have different timings with these spears, might not be something you're used to. So we'll see what happens if Mendax will switch stuff. Mendax staying with the talisman, you gotta love it. You
Oh,
gotta love it.
Nice doing his damnedest to distract us from the things at hand, ladies and gentlemen. But we will persevere. Dante, give us the count in. He is staying. You're right,
Three,
my word.
2, 1, go. Let's see if
Uh,
Mendax can do it.
well, we will soon find out.
No
As
punish here though.
no punish. He's going to be a little bit more careful. He's going to need every little bit of absorption that he can get. As we do see the duel. Is that partisan? I believe
The
that's a partisan.
partisan.
The Parmesan is out, ladies and gentlemen, as we are going to see these running attacks here. This is going to be a really... We're probably going to see a much more passive playstyle. How comes the
Or
Frost
frost.
Bomb? Is this patch 1.1? What's going on?
I
1.01? What's going on here? I
I think
haven't
it's
seen that.
still good.
It's still very useful for finishes, but as a right off the bat, as we see here, some of these casts coming out here, not able to get much damage. Man, Alucard staying in real
Ah.
close on this one.
Is there any
Ooh.
difference between left and right hand carry and slicer?
There may be slight differences. I'm not sure. I don't believe so. As we are going to see some more damage come out here. The spears have been very aggressive here overall. Alucard's really staying in
Nice.
on top. Really keeping on top of Mendax. Not giving him the space to kind of get any of his setups up as we see the Shard Spiral come out here. However, I would imagine that was an attempt to flask here, as we may see a flask come out yet, but
I like the aggression. Oh no, he gave him too much.
oh, hey, we're still not seeing that flask. You're gonna have to be really careful. That could be the end of it
Oh,
if that's
there it
the end of
is.
it.
Alucard, man. So first match he was trying to figure out what was happening, right? He was trying to figure
Hmm.
out who he's fighting, how to fight it, and then he just slowly turned up the aggression. And I gotta say that last match, the aggression was on point. It wasn't stupid to get caught with the carrion slicer. It
Hmm.
was just right for the range he had with the spears, and he got the victory because of it. And he also, it looked like he sort of heeded my words in that he would pressure when a couple spells were cast so that he couldn't get a free chug and sort of repeat that. And I got to give credit. Good job, Alucard, moving on 2-1 over Mendax Virax.
And we've seen it there, the way to deal with those mages when they're trying to set up for what we call in the business shenanigans, you know? When a mage is trying to set up for something, your best opportunity is to keep them on the back foot, to never give them an opportunity to. And you have the ability to do that with those very quick L1s on the side of a spear. Not very good chase down options, unfortunately. It's just the nature of the beast. But, what you make up for is the ability where when you do manage to land something, you put them very much in the back foot. And we've seen it there, the panic rolls here on the side of Mendax, not quite able to deal with the overwhelming aggression on these power stance spears. But that remains to be seen. I have my suspicions. I just have some little suspicions that power stance spears, from my talking with some of the people on the leaderboard, the way to deal with them is, but the way to play them is incredibly passively set up for those really advantageous trades here, which of course he does have, because he's not going to get poise broken by the slicer. He has that opportunity to set up for those trades. So,
Yep.
well, just, it will remain to see. Will the Parmesan return against Snapcaster in round two?
I
That's
don't
going to
think
be
it
the
will.
real one. You don't see the
Unless
Parmesan
Snapcaster
come?
is a caster. No, I don't think it's coming back. I think he did that specifically for that matchup. Although I will say there are some things that I don't see a lot of people do with the dual spears is that you can run to someone, scare them like you're gonna attack, and then do a stopped L1, and it's a roll catch almost every
Yeah.
time. And I don't see a lot of people do it because I don't see a lot of people using spears in general anymore. But it's
My God.
that's what I love about this game, and especially with about how many different weapons there are and how many different ways to play this game, especially with crouching and jumping being incorporated, is that
Mm.
there's so many ways to trick your opponent. And I want to see more variety, which is what was really cool about Zavadi. He's out of this tournament, which, unfortunate, it's not double
Unfortunate.
elimination, but, it happens. We got to move up tournaments on. But, you got to see a little bit of different play style and a way of playing. And I really do think Zavadi could have won. I think Mendax kind of got figured out. It was going to be hard for him to win that. He had to
Yeah, for
play
sure.
slower and more setup. Like, he had to set up his spells better and set up when he was going to go in for the carrion. But it is a tough match. It's a tough match if that's all you do. And especially since we're NA, the connections should be much better than if it was NAEU or whatever. So it's not as easy to get those sort of phantom hits like you would on just a
Yeah.
random fight, which does actually take a little bit away from the caster, because you're not going to get the little hits from strafing that you might get through some latency. So people should have better connections, which does make it, I believe, harder for most casters.
Yeah, for sure. Again, like latency in this game has some very specific interactions that can really change how matchups function. If you're in the higher the lat, the better you have something like a very trade heavy setup, because after about 130, 140 ping, most things turn into trades if they're on
Yeah,
comparable like frame advantage, which can be very rough. And going for those, I know the spears don't have access to the spear talisman, so that's going to take away those advantages. So
true.
something that does have access to them, like let's say a heavy thrusting sword, can bring them more on parity, which is kind of the whole point of the rule set, to be able to adjust for specific setups to be able to allow for certain things. But we are going to be moving on to the next matches shortly here, ladies and gentlemen, which is going to be Tempestuous Atmosphere versus Gold Top.
Tempestuous. Yeah.
Tempestuous, yes.
We've seen Tempestuous before. Golden Top I've never seen. I don't know anything about Golden Top. But to look at the Power Stance Spears, and you can look at exclamation point Chow to look at the rules. It's max poise 49.
Yep.
You cannot use the Spear Talisman. That's the only one you can't use. And Ash of War, Flaming Strike, Storm Stomp, and Quick Step are not allowed.
Hmm.
And you're not allowed to use the Pike, Cross Naginata, Bolt of Grand Sax, Spiked Torch Pole, Rotten Crystal. I actually don't know. Why can't you use the Torch Pole? I don't know
Probably
this reason.
because it has like its insane range means it's very difficult to punish. I would
Okay,
imagine
all
it's one
right.
of those things. It's an awful lot of with Twin Spears. It's an awful lot of the range advantage that you get. You can basically make the damage holy fire. Interesting, Tempestuous, nice. But yeah, you're going to see an awful lot of like heavy damage that's going to come out in those, and that's kind of the point of the rule set, to make sure that like the weapons that are allowed are at least on par, to have like the overall balance parity to be much closer. There will still be setups with more advantage, like ultras are still, sorry, colossals. I will commit that to memory yet, I promise. Colossals are still probably the strongest weapons in the game, even in the rule set, just simply for the fact that they have the
Yeah.
properties on their move set are bonkers.
You saw it yesterday.
Yeah, we
Witnake, no
seen it
mistake,
yesterday.
Witnake won with a less than favorable colossal weapon, and you saw what, 4, 5 other players use colossals,
Yeah, very very
and
strong setup.
that's what won. Again, but it makes me wonder, like, why. So if you were to go against the current rule set of colossals
Hmm.
versus the current, like, let's say you allowed torch pull, who wins? Dual torch pull or current colossals allowed?
I'm going to be completely honest with you, Dante. I have gotten rid of dual spears from memory. I fought in both leaderboard and in tournaments very early on in this game, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. I have so much PTSD from that I don't want to think about it. Okay,
Oh wow.
I
So
would
they were
imagine
that
that the
rough,
Ultra
huh?
under the current rule set still wins because of its hyper armor.
I
Um,
see.
but it That's
That's interesting.
complicated.
I gotta say, because I don't face that many dualsies out there, and maybe because it's the way I play, they don't give me a problem like the Colossals give me. So that's kind of interesting. I didn't realize all of these were banned, but I do find it interesting. All right, so we
Oh,
got the
you.
ball sack flinging. Um,
Knight doing his thing, of course. Yeah, yeah. I see how it is. All right, go on. Wiping yourself clean of that last match, ready, fresh, and waiting for this next one between Tempestuous in the far corner and Top in the near one. Dante.
3, 2, 1, go!
Well, you know what? We were
Look at
talking so
that
much
name.
about Colossal. We are gonna say, what?
Oh,
Our,
I like it.
is North
That's like
America
the whole
okay?
arena.
Is North America okay? What are
I
they? What
like
was
this.
that?
I like it. How do you get out of this?
Uh,
Oh, you almost got
like
the
that
combo.
apparently, as we are going to see the goblin stepping coming in here to do insane amounts of damage.
Oh
Here comes,
no, he's not
oh,
well
this is
versed.
going
He's
to go one way.
panicking.
As we are going to see the
Oh, the hyper armor. Golden Top was like, I'm not dealing with any of this nonsense. I'm just gonna go with just regular, normal crouch poke tech, and I'm just gonna blast you into smithereens. Use my hyper armor, use my damage.
Oh,
I gotta say, I don't know how he got out of. So he used the burst of the frenzy, and at that same time, the floating chaos orb, he used that, and I don't know how he got out of that. That burst has a crazy radius, and it is hard to time it, especially if you're getting pelted with the frenzy. So that was like a really amazing setup that should have worked. And if that would have worked, he would have been able to reset himself, maybe drink another flask, and then sort of rinse, repeat, or do whatever other tricks he has up his sleeve. But I do like what I was seeing by Tempestuous because, again, different is always fun. Maybe it's not the best because you see Colossal just ran right through him at the end. Sadly, it looks like Tempestuous isn't. They kind of were panicking when they were in the corner there, and they got hit a couple times, and it, they
yeah,
couldn't get out
it
of it.
happens. It when you're stuck in that
It's
position,
true.
when you're cornered with an ultra, it can go one. A colossal, sorry, it can go one way. The flame of the fell god there going
Flame of
out
the Fell
was
God.
probably one of the strangest things I've ever seen in a tournament. Never thought. True, it did take up most of the arena, but the amount of damage they were actually able to get out of it was kind of lacking, unfortunately. And again, throwing those little frisbees out at the start was very cool.
The 3 ways of White Corona. They are legit
I
in this arena. That was the whole entire arena, and it hit him. He couldn't get away from it. They are actually decent spells in this game, believe it or not, because they come back too. So even if you try to rush them, they come back, and it's hard to get away from the 3 that come back. You'll get hit. I mean, you probably won't get stunned, but you'll get hit, and then the setup of whatever the next attack is. It's not that bad. It's actually not in this arena. A lot of spells work really well in this arena.
Well, we do have Knight here with a face that only a mother could love, as we are pretty much ready to go. We have, of course, Top here in the near corner, our Goblin Stepping King versus Tempestuous in this one. Oh, to Golden Top. Dante, give us the shout in, please
All
and
right,
thank you.
3, 2, 1, go.
Alley, and out goes the
Uh,
bolt here, ladies and gentlemen. Are gonna see, out comes the
Look,
archery
it hit him
corona
again.
here.
It comes back.
Oh,
Flame
out comes the
strike.
flame strike. We do have a game plan here on Tempestuous, who is doing quite a good job. Not quite sure what that was here on the side of the Colossal, but, out comes the Flame
Oh,
Strike again. Wins that
at
trade,
range.
however, Golden Top is at a life disadvantage. We are seeing these rolling R1s coming out here. Out comes the the Lightning Strike
Oh,
here.
how
Oh,
does he
he's going to
have?
be hit
Oh,
again.
look at that. He got him.
He is going to come and manage to get his physic out here, and we are going to see it as he is going to be clipped. No, he's not clipped again. However,
There we go. Flame of the Fell God.
it's going to be out.
I
Out comes
like
the
this combo.
Incant.
How? Oh, wait.
But it's
He
not
got him.
gonna
There it is.
matter. Was that an unsheath? We are seeing the katana here in the main hand, so I have a feeling the unsheath was the thing that actually took him out there.
Yeah, it
Oh
was kind
my
of tough to
god.
see through that explosion, but I told you, like, that combo can work. Really, what Goldtop had to do there was run away. He had to basically take a little bit of frenzy and just run away because the Flame of the Fell God takes, I think it's like 50 FP or something. It's a very large amount. It'll take a lot of your bar. So you can only cast maybe 2 or 3 on most bars, usually how much mind people have. And I gotta say, Gold Top, he got lucky the first match with not getting crushed by that, but you see what happens. That damage, and especially if you have the 2 talismans to help you with incantations, that damage stacks, and it stacks hard, and that
Yeah.
will hit hard. That will do upwards of 800 damage.
An insane amount. And again, the swap over to Katana, I didn't quite manage to make out what on earth he did on that swap. Did he do an unsheaths to finish it out? Like, Gold on Top's aggression there was quite nice. He'd move out, move in, and again, Tempestuous did a really good job on that swap at the end there to really do that really high damage and put him away. Not quite sure. I'm going to make the wild assumption it was something like an unsheathed, to be honest with you. That seems to be the
Yeah.
most reasonable.
Again, the explosion sort of, you couldn't see anything. I mean, I saw him land on the ground. I'm like, oh, wait, did he? I couldn't tell if he actually got hit or not because I thought maybe actually Temp died. I thought he died by getting hit over, but I couldn't really tell. And then I was like, oh,
So hard
did
to
he?
tell. Again, just trying to make out what's going on. There's one too many particle effects has just thrown us. Pretty colors are very
I
distracting,
love it.
ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it's
I love it.
absolutely fantastic. As we are going to see both of our players back in once again. I'm always curious as to what I'm really excited for, and on the transition here is what Knight's going to come out with
Yeah,
next.
true.
This is an atrocity against fashion, mayhaps, but ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go.
Yeah, but look
As
at
we
that
have
posterior. Anyways, we are ready. Tempestuous atmosphere, far left, golden top, close right. Round 3, 1-1, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, we are going to see similar setups here from the get-go as the bolt is going to go out. We are going to see the Corona come out once more as he is going to go for it. No damage out of it this time. Goes for that jumping attack to break the poise. We see these goblins stepping. He's going to go for these jumps.
I like it. That works.
Trying to get over those flaming strikes. He has to be super careful here. Because if you're not careful, although it doesn't seem like it's going to make much of a difference.
Tempestuous is in trouble. He's panicking.
He's in trouble. He's put away. That's what he is.
Temp needs that practice to not panic against the crouch poke. It's tough. It's tough, especially if you're down low and you're down with 1 hit left. It is really tough to compose yourself to not fall victim to the crouch poke, which is so fast, and you can't really do much against it except get away. So, I mean, it's tough to blame him for sort of succumbing to the pressure there. But at the same time, like, this is a tournament. People are going to bring it. You got to be ready for especially crouch poke, since that's going to be a weapon here. Someone's going to use it. You're not going to escape that unless it's a specialty rules situation. But what did you think about Gold Top there? Dropping the second set. Did you think that Temp could move on and actually win that one?
There was, it's kind of a loose cannon is gonna do what a loose cannon does. To be honest with you, it's kind of hard to know. The amount of damage output that he was able to put off if he got lucky was kind of crazy, but the goblin stepping crouch poke is going to be very strong. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a very quick break here as it is the end of round 1. Just to stretch the legs, get a bit of water into us. If you are interested, ladies and gentlemen, in this, to enter these tournaments, !ERPVP will give you access to the ladder. You'll have full access to the leaderboard, which you will give you further access if you are in the higher brackets of the leaderboard to be able to compete in these tournaments. Really special thank you to the people at ERPVP, without whom, the scientists have gone on to construct perhaps the best rule set we've been able to see so far for ERPVP. Really solid shout out to them. Thanks a million, everyone. And we will. Dante, do you have any closing words on that first round?
Well, I'm very interested in the round 2 because obviously we have 4 people who moved on automatically, and it's not rust, but it's like maybe you didn't get your hand warmers in, so we'll see if that actually affects some players who haven't played yet. We already know, but again, it could be opposite. They could be watching, right, and see that a rhythmic pulse has his sort of weird style of casting, or that Gold Top is all about the goblin step, as you call it. So it's we'll see if that works for or against them, whether they're already practicing before then. But we're all about round 2. We're all about getting further and farther and enjoying sort of the bloodshed.
Yeah, well, we will catch you shortly, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much. We'll see you in just a couple of minutes.
We're back live.
We are?
Challenge.
Oh god.
Challenge is here. We have 12 combatants in this PSN North America tournament for 175 bones. First place is 100, $50 is second place, and $25 is third place. We have now round 2, 4 more matches, but I have a co-commentary legend, Ended the Lion. How are you liking things so far?
Me? Okay.
Yes.
Well, you know, it's been pretty interesting. We've seen Zavadi come out here with a, I believe the technical term is based in can't build light roll, which was pretty fun. Mendax, of course, the mage, doing incredible amounts of work there. However, not quite able to make it about against Alucard and tempestuous atmosphere, causing
We loved
quite
it.
the storm. Quite the storm caused by him, I think, as he, wasn't quite able to make it through, but the people who've been knocked out have been super interesting all the way through, I think. They've had
Definitely.
really cool builds. Unfortunately, not quite able to make it again. Tempestuous there in that last round. We couldn't see what was going on. There was so many
Yeah.
pretty colors on scream on stream because of all of it. It was really really cool stuff on all of them. And in this next round, we of course have Inservan versus Arrhythmic Pulse, which is going to be a very exciting match. I'm expecting Inservan to do some insane
We're
amounts
about
of
to see
work
it,
here.
hopefully. The thing that's interesting about this match is that we haven't seen Inservin. We actually don't know what Inservin's going to use, but Inservin might and probably does know exactly what Pulse is going to use, so he might change his weapons accordingly, right? Or maybe understand that he has to be a specific type of aggression versus
Yeah,
what.
for
But
sure.
not too much, because as we see, you have these close-up spells, you have the Storm Stomp, and we don't know what's going to happen there.
What I
A
imagine
lot
we're
of
going to
stuff can
see,
happen.
what I imagine we're going to see now, again, maybe I'm wrong, but based on Inservan's last showing in the last Fight Club myself and KH Knight did, I have a strange feeling we're going to see those codeds come out, and they're going to hit like a truck, and he's going to pressure very effectively. The only thing he's going to have to be careful against with Arrhythmic is that Ice Spear, which definitely is an equalizer, because if Inservans is going to jump too early, he will be anti-aired out of that, which he has to
Yeah.
just has to be super careful of. That Ice Spear may come in clutch in this round. The one thing I will say about the Rhythmic that he is going to have to be very, very cautious about all the way through is throwing those Ice Spears out in neutral. Against a straight sword, where he has the ability to jump over it and to
Yep.
just hit like a truck as a result and then get, snowball pressure after that fact, those dual straight swords can do an awful lot of damage, and
And it's quick.
yeah, it is very quick. The recovery on those jump L1s can lead him to doing an awful lot of work, but you're looking as stunning as ever, KH Knight, as we do have him here, seemingly fresh out of his own fist-only weapons, as we do see him wiping off all the sweat from those last rounds, ready to crack on with this next one. Inservans in the far corner, a Rhythmic in the near, which we see a heavy thrusting sword, I think, on the side of Inservans by the looks of
Yeah.
things. Not quite able to make out what the Rhythmic has, although I imagine he's on something very similar as what they
Yeah.
were
Why
before.
change if it worked? Right.
Dante, at your leisure.
3, 2, 1, go.
Boom, out goes the bolt here, as we are going to see both of our players here. Neutral pokes here straight off the bat to try and punish any consumables. We are going to see the flask used by both players.
Oh,
that
that range.
beautiful running attack. Flame Strike not quite able to catch. However, we are going to see it here. Waves of Darkness.
Where's the third one?
He's
I
going to
like
clip him
that.
for 34 damage Star Shower here. What did I...
Oh, the
Definitely
spear.
learned his lesson from that first round, as we are going to see that Ice Spear come out. Not from neutral here to try and punish that bit of aggression. Not able to get the full combo out, as we are going to see these heavy thrustings.
That's it. The combo. Really nice by Inservin there. He did a jump delayed
Yeah.
R1 into the flame strike because at that point Arrhythmic was, I think he was trying to do the spear at that point, thinking things were gonna kind of reset. But no, he continued the aggression. He did the flame strike in R1, which I believe is a true combo, right?
Yeah, if it depends on the frame. If you hit on some of the closing frames of the flame strike, you're able to land out the full
see.
weapon art, and it can do insane amounts of damage. And again, trying to find those opportunities to guarantee will it win land. We've seen it there. He melted Arrhythmic's health bar, absolutely melted
Literally.
it. And when the flame strike struck, I was kind of like, ooh, not feeling this. This is going to be
Yeah,
unfortunate. But we've
it
seen it
shows
there
what
as
you have
well.
to do.
The
Shows what
ice
you have to do
spear.
for a mage,
Yeah.
right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
you have all these stat requirements just to get the damage, just to get the mind in there, but then you can't really have a lot of the armor, right? Or some of the armors have to be changed specifically for your spells, and also you might not have that much health, so your defense and health might be lower to get more mind and more intelligence in there to cast these spells. And you saw right there, I mean, he only got hit what, 4 times, 4 or 5 times,
Yep.
and he was dead.
And he was dead, yeah. And again, having though that split stat investment, you're not really gonna need. You're gonna need that little bit of endurance to try and get your poise up, so you can deal with everything. The mind stat is going to be incredibly important. There are ways to circumvent it with certain talismans that you can use, but they come at a very high cost if you are going to try
Yes,
and go for them.
very high.
The scar seals or the sore seals that can be mm, at meta. Not really feeling it,
It's
damage numbers are already very high. You got to be careful, but
You basically just can't get hit. I mean, if you can't get hit, you can do whatever you want. You could be naked, right? But we see here that no one's perfect. No one's
Mhm.
impervious to the crouch poke. People make mistakes, people get hit, and when you do, it's 500 damage almost minimum.
Well, yeah, well, we remain to be seen here whether or not Arrhythmic is able to claw this one back again. If he falls, it's not just a loading screen he'll be seeing, it'll be the door to this tournament, unfortunately,
That's
ladies and
true.
gentlemen. As, in Servants in the far corner, Arrhythmic Pulse in the near, Dante, give us the
Let's do it.
countdown.
3, 2, 1, go.
And the bolt is out, ladies and gentlemen, as we are going to see an immediate attempt to punish. I believe out comes the Star Shower here. Nothing really, no real damage out of it. Out comes the Waves of Darkness here on that swap. Again, nothing to count for. That third one is going to go out. Try and get these neutral pokes out. Out comes the Halberd, jumping
What the
for
heck?
two.
That was
Oh, that's going to
weird.
be a Flame Strike. Doesn't manage to land. Maybe a double tap would have been slightly better on that one. As in Servants is going to be on the heavy thrusting sword. Trying to find it in here. Going for that roll catch and a jumping R1. Not able to find it. Going for it again. Again, looking for that true combo. Managing to space out. They're not able to go for the full true
Oh,
combo as it
mistake.
would be poise broken.
Oh, what
Oh!
the?
Out
I didn't
comes
even
the
see the
Flame
damage.
Strike!
That's
There
it.
we go!
Oh man, that flame strike just lit him up.
Quite
That
literally and
yeah,
figuratively, yeah,
yeah,
for
it lit.
sure.
He just it seemed like, man, and it's weird because when you do that weapon art with the gravity, it's great to give you time to refresh your mana, to sort of recalibrate yourself and maybe set up your next spell. But he screwed up there. He didn't have enough FP to cast a spell. It got him in, as someone I once knew said, a spot of bother in the corner there, and he just made mistakes. I really wonder how much Pulse has used that type of build, because he made some weird mistakes. And again, this is a tournament setting. And Servant is ranked, he's seed number 1 in this tournament. You gotta be on your game. I mean, this is for money, this is for pride, this is for whatever you want to call it. And Servant's gonna come in here and he's gonna try to win. He's not gonna try to lollygag around. He's not gonna use, a talisman that makes him look, like not a red. And that's the thing. You gotta be here. You gotta be ready. You gotta practice.
Yeah.
Don't go back to Dark Souls 3. And stay
I felt
here. Practice for the
personally called
tournament.
out. Thanks, Dante.
Uh,
As we are going to see in this next round, Slave Knight Koss versus Darth Lego. In this one, I've not. It's been a hot minute since I've seen Koss play, but Darth Lego had a really solid match there. It took him a
wait,
little
you
bit to
seen
adapt.
cosplay?
It's Slave Knight Koss. Cosplay.
No, no.
Okay, okay, Dante. I see how it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
But I've seen Darth Lego play in that last round, very dominant all the way through. Did his damnedest, lost around to Zavadi again. I think the shock and awe tactics on Zavadi was a really good
It was
strategy to try
close.
and yeah, it was an interesting one, but
I
definitely
mean, Zavadi
adapted.
lost literally because of Storm Stomp. That was
Yeah,
it. It was the Storm Stomp matchup, and I really think if it was best 3 out of 5, I think Zavadi could have come back and won that. Because it's such a weird style, and he is ranked 5th. I thought it was closer than people might see. It was just, that's all it takes in this game. It takes one, two mistakes, and you're 6 feet under essentially.
Yeah, well, again, you're going to have to see that loading screen. And, unfortunately, at the end of the day, given how these are both the best of three, we are going through the lightning rounds right now, as it is
Essentially,
best
yeah.
of three all the way through. And you kind of have to be on the ball. You have to think on your feet, because if you don't adapt, you have one round to mess around. That
Yep,
is literally all you have. And everything
that's
after
all you
that, once
have.
you've felt out your opponent and know their style and how they play, you have to be super careful after that, because if you're not able to adapt in real time, it's going to cost you. It's going to
Yeah.
cost you, there is $175 as a prize pool here, and that's not to be sneezed at, It's not like we're fighting for Denny's vouchers or anything.
Well, I
You got to
love
be...
Denny's, but the Grand Slam, whatever. It's but either way, I definitely understand what you mean, and it's tough because this isn't like Dark Souls 3 where like for the most part you could calibrate in match because
Mhm.
you're not taking 500, 800 damage on a counter hit. You're able to actually sustain a couple of hits before, you take a nap. This game, it's not really the case. I mean, you see people are coming in with basically one combo as sort of their trick up their sleeve,
Yeah.
as the way they're going to win a match. And if you've never seen it before, how are you going to there's nothing you can do other than, I guess drink more coffee. I don't know, take more caffeine. I don't know what makes you like. I don't know. It's
Slamming
very
down 3 or
difficult.
4 Red Bulls, we do not condone that. That is very bad for your health, ladies and gentlemen. Please do not do that. But yeah, it can be an interesting one, and having that ability to calibrate in real time to how your opponent is playing, and again, especially given how many strategies and how many ways to play, as we do see the dabs happening and the T. Oh,
Oh, I
they're
like it.
the dab counter dab.
Friendly dab.
That's an interesting one. We all see on the different platforms the different rituals the players are going to go through. I'm quite impressed by it so far, as we are seeing Mushroom Man here out in his fineries. Dante.
We don't condone drugs, by the way. But either way, we have Darth Lego on the far left, Slave Knight Koss in the close right. 3, 2, 1, Lego.
Let's go. As we are going to see the physic coming out from both players here, we are going to see Nikas come out in the center here. This is very important.
It is actually. It grants strength. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah. Is this a sword and board mirror?
I love it. Oh, he got
What's
frosted.
going
Darth
on
Lego
here?
got frosted. That's a big
Frost
deal.
proc here on it, as we are going to see both of our players. Will we see the backswings come out? Sword and board can still backswing. It's not that different. It's just the moveset doesn't have as good properties as we are going to see.
It's poise.
Oh!
Really, it's poise that takes away from the straight sword. Because if
Yeah.
you can't break someone on the first hit, you're just in trouble, essentially.
Oh, we are going to see he's not quite able to space this one out, is the side of cause,
Thousand
as he will
swap
be
by
clipped.
Koss.
Ooh, out it comes here, as we are going to see these shields are going to come in, and the guard
There we
counter
go. Oh!
into a weapon art here. Whew! What is
I've
going?
never even seen that weapon art. That's how rare it is.
That is.
I can't even believe it.
Gonna be clipped once more here, and we do see. Oh, tries to go for that guard counter again. They're both on quite low poise here. Definitely, this maybe seems like a bit of a gentleman's agreement. However, that frost proc is going to be very important here, as we are going to see both of our players
I
here.
want
We
to
see
see
the
more jumps.
I think that's not quite what they're going for.
Really? Is this just Dark Souls 3?
I think they're trying to do, they're men from my own heart here. They are going to try and do these callback matchups here, as you see these whiffed or ones not going to be punished quite as hard.
Lego's
here.
starting to come back though.
That frost proc is going to be the defining feature in this matchup, I see here, as we are going to see these micro spaces here to try and match it. And speaking of which, Lego is going to have to be super careful.
I like this. I like the spam.
The spacing on Koss here is really, really solid here, and he's doing a really solid job of baiting out these attacks from neutral, and coming in for these punish. Speak of the devil, out it comes. Not able to go for those backswings here, as he is going to be forced into the corner. However, a really nice bait there.
Looked like
on
he
the
got
side of
Koss post-death. Yeah, I mean, you like to see it sometimes. I will say, in a tournament with money on the line, part of me is sort of against it. Part of me is for it. Like, yeah, I like seeing it because it's fun, but it's like, I want people to play as seriously as they can because I want to see how well people can play in this format. But you know, whatever, we have what we have. There was no jumps. It's funny too because I learned Baby Turtle, the ledge, that Baby Turtle. He sort of, we would do sort of sword and board mirrors because it was kind of fun to play
Hmm.
around in this. And one thing, now they're not jumping, it looks like, but one thing that's interesting, and because of how fast you have the ability to run in this game, like it's basically immediate when you hold
Hmm.
circle. And we don't talk about Xbox, so I'm not even going to say what button they would hold. But it's funny because you can actually sort of unlock run back if you jump and sort of corner circle around. You can get added range by speed jumping, and a lot of people don't do that, which is interesting because it works. People don't expect it. You unlock, you turn around, you do a quick run jump, and you get super range. And with
Awesome.
straight swords, and especially with dual straight swords, that's like a big deal. Now, clearly they were just doing sword and board. Um, it looked like Darth Lego was having an issue with just sort of that type of basic play. He was kind of getting destroyed by the poise. They might be more used to having more poise based on how they
Yeah.
were playing. They were kind of attacking into a lot of attacks and continuing, which was
W-
not working.
What I found there is though, like when we're talking about, we're not going to do any of these neutral skips through the jumps. We're not going to do any of that. We're just going to kind of play it on a very flat surface. We're going to play from there. Noticing the small little movements in that neutral game can make such an important difference. Like you'll see it there. Cost would get a hit. He'd skitter away. And as the attempted punish was going to come out there on wake up, he'd jump back in.
Yep.
That's very fundamental play. Noticing the patterns of your opponent, trying to punish out the what's the name of that weapon art? The slash. Kind of trying to punish those, doing solid damage. It's really good stuff.
I
Like
mean,
it still exists in this game. It's
yeah,
still there.
it was just for me looking at it, and especially because I played Dark Souls 3 a lot, and I still play sort of this game
Hmm.
more like Dark Souls 3 to my demise. But it's Darth Lego. He was making very basic mistakes there.
Yeah.
So one thing he was doing is he'll run up close and he won't have his shield up. That's mistake number one. In this game, having the shield up, especially if you're going against something that's not going to break it, like a straight sword, and it looks like they're both physical too. There's no chip
We have
damage.
frost. We have frost here. There's a little
Oh,
bit of
that is
split
true. The
damage on
frost is
frost.
there,
Yeah.
but he's still gonna get that on the non-hit, the phantom
Yeah,
hit.
for
So it
sure.
like either way, it's probably gonna proc anyway. But so Slave Knight Koss, what he was doing is he was holding up his shield. He was going in. He wasn't just attacking crazy. I would like to see Darth Lego, and this is gonna be hilarious. I'd like to see him spam more. Like you said, Slave Knight Koss he's running in and he's running out, right? He's sort of aggressing after an attack, trying to get the spacing, trying to get the timing. Darth Lego spams more. He's gonna get the back swings. He's gonna get a couple hits here. Maybe he can rush him down if he keeps his endurance low enough through the shield hits. I don't know. I just think Darth Lego. It seemed like weirdly in this specific matchup, he was kind of a little bit outclassed.
Just a small bit, and again, like the fund, people have memed out of existence. Oh, Elden Ring has no fundamentals. Oh, the skill gap. Angry
Yeah.
old man shakes fist at sky. But at the end of the day, we've seen it there. The fundamentals are all still there. Having that spacing, having that control of your space and where your opponent is, your positioning, it's all there. And I know they're going, what are
Oh
they?
boy, what
It
is
is.
this?
Is PlayStation okay? Is PlayStation NA specifically okay,
The
Dante?
talismans, the great axes. I don't even know what to do.
You know what? We'll soon find out, ladies and gentlemen, what on earth both of these players have up their sleeves. Dante, give us the countdown.
3, 2, 1. North America rules, guys. Okay.
Yeah. No
All
Queensberry
right,
rules
here
here,
we
it seems.
go.
Oh my word. Out both on great axes.
We got axes. Okay.
This is a matchup I don't know all that much about. We see it out here, the weapon art from neutral. Nothing's they're both going to go for
Oh,
it.
800
As the
damage.
burger flip is gonna come out, ladies and gents. This
Nice
is
job
absolute.
rolling though.
Uh,
Oh, did 879.
Oh, but L2 the video game, it seems, ladies and gentlemen, as he's gonna try and roll.
Oh, to the city. Backstab, he's dead. That was quite the quick. I
Oh my
actually don't know
god.
who won. Who won? Because they're
If you could you give us the you're gonna have to tell us who won that one night, as
yeah.
again both of them seem to be in the exact same fashion overall. I kind of got mixed up, but that is incredible. The weapon art spam. You know, you told you've only yourself to blame, Dante. You only have
Yeah.
yourself to blame.
And you know what? I'll take the blame and I'll accept it and I'll deal with it as time goes on. I got to be honest. There's not much we can even say about that match. I will say in this game, great hammers, great axes, I think are trash. I think they're legit bad. They did get a buff with the recent patch where now if you swing, you have a faster recovery time.
Hmm.
But that doesn't save them because it doesn't matter. If you can't hit anyone, you can't win.
Yeah,
That's it. That's the game. They're too slow. They don't even like yeah, that the Ash of War did 800 damage, but that's through a roll. Rolls count as counter hits in this game? Is that the deal?
I don't believe so. I think that
No?
counter
Okay,
hits
so that was
exclusively
a
work
lot of
for
damage then.
attack states. But yeah, that was an
But
insane amount of damage.
again, it's so slow. Once you see it, you literally just run away. You don't even have to roll or jump. You run away because it's so slow.
Yeah. And we've seen the
So
burger
slow.
flips coming out here. You know, you can basically like weapon air punish it on reaction. It's like
It's
wonderful.
a
What
mess.
could be a counter to if they do decide to do that, going for something like Giant Hunt or something like that to just like counter them, because you can
True.
do it on reaction. It's so slow.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? I don't know if the colossal axes have access to that, but I'm
They're bad.
it
They're bad.
does it does seem that it was Slave Knight Cost who managed to come
Yeah,
out through on top
Koss got
there.
the win. I do think this is a disservice for Koss himself. He's gonna go against Inservin, who's the #1 seed. Koss himself is #4. I think getting more practice in what you're going to use, I think, is usually better. I mean, I guess the only thing I could say is maybe he's saving the surprise for Inservin, but in the semifinals
Maybe.
now, it's three out of five, best 3 out of 5. So he's gonna have more room to calibrate himself versus whatever Slave Knight Cost is actually going to use, because
The
there's no
question
way
here.
he's using an axe.
The
It's not even a
question is, no. Are there?
there's
I'd
it
be curious as to hear what the comms are going to be like on this one, Dante. You know, are they going to be like,
okay.
yo,
I see.
listen, buddy, you know how I love
Let's
you,
both use
in Servan.
fists.
Are you gonna? Yeah, they gotta go for the fist only tourney. Oh
The
my
freaking
word.
10-hour fight because they do like 12 damage. You know, it's
You know, every time I come on PSN, I'm kind of blown away by what nonsense ye lot are. I can't help. Check the temperature. Is everything okay? You know,
well,
because
I don't know. Climate change is a thing. You know, it's been affecting the U.S. Maybe they're from New York, where one day it's 80 degrees, the next day it's 40. I don't know. I don't know where they're from.
You
But
know, over here, anything past 80, and we turn into very sad potato puddles. So you know,
just
we've been
red.
suffering all summer as well. So it's been. Listen, the suit seemed like a very good idea at the time, Dante. That's
Yeah,
all I'm gonna
it's
say
I
on
don't
this
know.
one.
I love the thing is maybe I'm a purist with competition. I love competition, and especially when to me this means something. I would be shocked if Koss actually goes with something, sort of meme-ish. I would be shocked. But because again, $100 goes towards the winner. For me, I want $100. I want it. But either way, we have Snapcaster here on the far left, Alucard on the close right, and do us the honors.
Ladies and gentlemen, on a 3, on a 2, and a 1. Allez. And out comes the explosions. The explosions have gone off, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to see both of our players going for their buffs. We do see it here. We have both of them are... Is this a straight sword bearer? No, we have the heavy thrusting sword versus the dual straight swords here. Alucard is going to be staying on that setup that he had huge success with in the opening rounds. As we are going to see Snapcaster take a little bit of damage here. Going to...
A little bit, huh?
Bam. Just going to spam a little bit there. I think that's going to be the answer.
That.
Are we going to see that
Nice
flame
spacing.
strike coming out here?
Goodness.
We are. He's
nice
still
job.
on the flame strike, as Alucard's going to be very low here again. This is the second round. We have an awful lot of buys from the first round, and an awful lot of these players are very strong. And that's going to be Shiro goes to punish the weapon art. The wind up on that was quite not able to make it,
Yeah.
as we see Snapcaster very dominant in that round.
Yeah, I wonder what Alucard's gonna do. That wasn't really a close match. I will say, Snapcaster, brilliant spacing there. In
Yep.
fact, so brilliant, I thought he should have been hit. That's how brilliant he was. I don't know how, especially that first running attack. I don't know how he didn't get hit there. It looked like the weapon was through his entire body. I don't understand it. Maybe it's just from our vision. Maybe their vision is different. That was weird, but his spacing outside of that was still spectacular because
Yeah,
with the running attack and the jumping attack, man, it is tough to get away from the great thrusting swords. They have range, especially if you're not used to them. They have range that is like crazy. So
they
I gotta
do.
hand it to
But
Snapcaster.
now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret,
All right,
okay?
what's the
You
secret?
can reliably strafe it on low lat. And the way you do
Okay,
it is you crouch and move to your left. Out around,
okay.
rotate, and you can get the backstab. You can do
Ah,
it. Now, obviously, when there's $100 on the line, ultimately, at the end of the day, how willing you are to take that risk is one thing. But because of the recovery on it, and if the other person gets locked in, because sometimes if you miss your recovery window, you can be locked in and not able to attack again.
okay.
You do have the opportunity to do that. You have to if you miss a recovery window and spamming an R1 after it, it can be a world of hurt. But we are going to move in to this round two, Snapcaster one, Alucard Nihil. Dante, will you
Deal.
give us the count? And will you give
Yeah,
us the
let's
count
do it. I
in?
mean, I will say, based on what I saw, it looked like he wasn't trying to do any type of strafing, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe it was micro strafing, and I couldn't see it from my vantage point. Either
Yeah.
way, 3, 2, 1, go.
Alley. And out comes the bolt here, as we do see both of our players here. We are going to see the power stance parmesans coming out here on the side of Alucard, as Snapcaster's having none of it. He's just going to rush in and try and do it really nice micro spacing there on the
Oh,
side
the
of
panic by
Snapcaster.
Alucard.
Yeah, gonna get clipped for it. He's gonna have to be super careful again. Not having access to a very solid air unless he counters with his own air attack is gonna be a huge problem here, as he's gonna be a roll cut here for 482 damage. Snapcaster has the ability, he is gonna throw out what seems to be just a war cry there to get a damage buff, and again, really going for that maximum damage, as Alucard is gonna whiff and be punished for an insane amount of damage.
There
Punished
we go.
again. Ooh, he does manage to get the damage, and out comes the sword dance. Will be punished for it again for 203 damage. I'm going to imagine that Alucard here has had his tier popped. This is going to be nasty as we see a
I
swap
think
back over to the heavy thrusting.
I think that's a bad idea. Yeah. Well, I mean, I
Yep.
thought it was a bad idea only because he actually was doing damage and he was trading fairly well with his dual spears. It just looked like Snapcaster was really well versed in dual straight swords. It looked like he had the timing and the spacing. It looked like he was playing, passive reactive sort of type of passive aggressive that we call,
Hmm.
where he was sort of waiting to get the right moment to attack. He also had really brilliant jumping attack. So it's sort of the look away, unlock, jump back attack, which gives you crazy range with the straight swords. That I see a lot of people have problems understanding that range, me included. So I mean, you saw Snapcaster just being pretty brilliant with his play.
Yeah.
He understood that he was already ahead when it was in the mix, and he was just spamming L1 accordingly. Because what was the worst going to happen? He was just going to win with
Yeah,
less
he was gonna
damage.
trade. He was gonna be traded into, and
Yeah,
power stance spears are very trade centric setup. It's one of the reasons why we do have so many restrictions that they don't get advantage after that trade. They have to reset and kind of find a way back
yeah,
in. You know, it we and on those slender noble swords, like it can output so much damage with a war cry over the top of it as well, and whatever other buffs he had hidden in his back pocket.
yeah,
Like it was a very dominant round there by Snapcaster again, and really showing that, you know, I know my fundamentals, I have my spacing down, I have my roll discipline down. You're gonna catch me on trades, that's fine. However, I'm just gonna flat out outdamage you and get advantage afterwards. Because again, not having those anti-air options for those jumping L1s can be really rough when you're on those power stance spears, unless you counter with your own air, which is
yeah.
probably gonna be a trade. Uh,
Yeah, a lot of that for how fast the L1 is. Yeah, I would say
and
so.
not having a very high recovery, not having a very high recovery window as well on those jump angle
Yep.
ones, being able to roll straight out on the straight swords on the side of Snapcaster, hugely advantageous. And he's not going to panic roll. He's going to be patient. He's going to wait for it, as we've seen there. And yeah, really, really nice, really nice
Yep.
showing there on the side of Snapcaster, and just brilliant.
Yeah.
There's
He
not much
moves
to
on.
say. He moves
I will say
on.
Snapcaster, I'm curious because you see a difference, and maybe you can share some of your experience in this. You see a difference with players who, when they are pressing forward, when they are dictating the matchup, they're really good. But when they are getting pressured, they sort of fall apart, right? And we didn't see any of that with Snapcaster as far as he wasn't really getting
Mm.
pressured to the point of he couldn't use his game plan. So I want to see what happens whether he goes against Marco Vesso or Gold Top. I want to see if someone can put him on the back foot to really challenge him in that aspect because he was dictating that match. He was ahead the whole time, and when you're ahead, you have more confidence usually. And
Yeah,
I want to see if someone could actually put the pressure on Snapcaster.
but what we seen there, and I think it's really worth pointing out, is Snapcaster was never caught in a really bad spot. There was
Yep.
once or twice where, he took a little bit of a damage, but he was still in an advantage. He still had the overall advantage. And experience is going to count for a lot because in these games, given that, most things are ultimately reactable, so long as you don't make a silly button press, the entire aim of the game is to punish the other person's mistakes and to position yourself into such a position. Position yourself into such a position. That's
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we'll carry on. To
Yep.
be in a position to punish the other person's mistakes, and all the way through that, every mistake that was made on the side of poor Alucard, Snapcaster was there almost to take advantage of it, and Alucard wasn't in that position. You know, being under pressure is one thing, but having really solid positioning when we talk about like fundamentals, one of those
Yep.
clear fundamentals is your positioning. And in a
Absolutely.
tighter arena, that becomes even more important. And it really counted for it, as we are going to see Marco Vesso versus the Golden Top. And it seems that Golden Top is going to remain on the Ultra, and Marco Vesso, I'm not quite able to make out from my perspective what he is using, but we will surely find out in the not too distant future.
Is
Uh,
Gold Top the only Colossal?
Only Colossal we've seen so far. Don't jinx it, Dante, please.
That's yeah, I should have. Oh, damn it. Anyways, 3, 2, 1, go.
And the bolt is out, ladies and gentlemen. As we are going to see the buffs come out from both of them, maybe a little bit of a gentleman's agreement. As we're going to see, is that a magic buff
Man, you
on
don't see
the
many buffs
Ultra?
like this.
That's an interesting choice, as he is going to be clipped here. It seems as though we have a thrusting sword here, which may be the play. And again, we are going to see, is that a light roll on top of that on the side of Marcovoso?
Uh, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Ooh, that's going to be
Uh,
really hard. Not quite sure here, as he is going to take an insane amount of damage. That was probably a misinput here on the side of
yeah.
Golden Top, as we are going to see the thrusting sword do an awful lot of work here,
No,
as
I
he
don't
is
think
going
it's
to go
quick
for that
actually.
endure. No, it
He's
doesn't seem so.
Marcavesso, I gotta say, he's just getting his 1 or 2 hits in, and he's just
Ooh.
rolling out and rolling extremely well out of the crouch pokes here. So, man, like he'll get in, he'll attack.
Oh, nice. As we see that clip here, as we are going to see the
Nice.
crouch, and that's Golden Top
Yeah.
put away.
Wow.
There
I
is.
very impressed with Marco Vesso there. Very impressed. I mean, he basically didn't panic roll at all.
Oh,
I think maybe he got caught once. I think he only got hit once actually. And that was very good play. He would go in, he understood how the poise worked. So that weapon has, I think you said it earlier, 40 poise damage, and you're only allowed 49 poise if you have
yeah.
a colossal sword. So it's every second hit always breaks the poise, obviously, unless there's hyper armor involved. But so he understood that he might be able to do 2 hits, get the stun, roll out, rinse, repeat, and he did that like to almost perfection there. And that was brilliant play by Marco Vessel.
So what we talked about before is that fundamentals of being in a position to punish your opponent for their mistakes. There's two things in that fight I do really want to talk about. First of all, Mechavesso was always in a position to do some amount of damage to Golden Top
That's
to really
true.
throw him off his game, not give him that opportunity to Goblin Stepner wave dash him into oblivion. Because again, once you're really under pressure there and you do not have the poise break, you're in trouble because they can tank one hit and they can just go vumph, which is again another technical term, den certified,
That's
and
true.
hit him
Yes,
with that to hit him with that damage. But what he also did there, do you see all those fan daggers at the start? Seems kind of cheesy. He was poise counting all the
that's
way through, so we
true.
could guarantee that poise break catching him in his
How
recovery
much
or
do
his startup
those
frames. I
cause?
believe
How
it's
much poise?
5 to 10 a dagger, but they can hit
So you
you can
get
hit
two and then one hit,
and
and
then
then
and
they're
one hit
broken.
and then it's a poise break. Yeah, exactly. It can do insane amounts of poise damage if you're able to hit them with a couple of them. But we will see if Golden Top is able to get that aggressive state in Dante.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Golden Top, he's got to be better aggressive. He was making
Yeah.
mistakes, obviously, doing the running attack, which, he's not trying to do. He's trying to do the crouch poke. So if he can take away those mistakes and put the pressure on, as you see there, the Van Daggers are back. He didn't stun him there, but he is on one hit to get stunned.
Yeah, as we see these really solid rolls here on the side of Marcaviso here, who's able to do a really nice amount of damage. And again,
Backstep.
forcing him with the back steps here, as well as that. Not just that, we've seen it in the last round as well, where he does the kick flip as well, which is really, really nice. As another back step comes out there, tries to go in. There's a little bit of poise damage here. Maybe he's not so confident here on that ghost hit, whether or not he's going to get the poise break. Does manage to get a poise
Regular
break, but will be
R1.
punished for it here. We see these goblins stepping coming out here, not able to get good damage. Whiffs that one
Spacing.
here. Really nice in both of them here. However,
Nice
that
jump.
jumping attack is going to get a guaranteed poise break, as we are going to see another one. Golden Top is so low here. He has to be careful, but he's not able to do it as he's put away.
I gotta say, I have not seen
Oh,
someone absolutely bully a colossal user like that. That
and
was amazing. Like that was amazing play by Mark. That was crazy. He bullied him. He straight up made him play his game the whole
yep.
entire match. He threw out the fan daggers, get a little bit of poise damage. Also, I gotta hand it to Mark. I mean, he rolled like damn near perfectly the whole time. His like one mistake was I think he hit into his hyper armor, I think, basically. And I was just like, wow. So he basically didn't get hit by any of the crouch pokes, was rolling spectacularly,
Jump
understood his
attacks.
timings. Yeah, and the jump attack at the end, which I don't know how it didn't kill him. It only did like 100 damage. And I'm impressed. That was very impressive. Like that's I know everyone has kind of different styles when they play with Colossals. Like Gold Top is going to be different than someone like Whitnake, who is
Yeah.
like, obviously he's won multiple tournaments. He's sort of top tier player. And again, I'm not saying anything against Gold Top. It's just people are different. That's sort of how it works. And so I'm curious if there will be any other Colossal Sword users, if that type of play style will work against other players. So,
Well,
man, because that was impressive.
what I want to give Gold Top credit for is his wave dashing wasn't bad. It was just he picked his opportunities to attack at the wrong moment. He wasn't able to put solid pressure against Mark,
Yep,
and if his game plan didn't function, he wasn't quite able to claw it back. Really,
that's
on
true.
this rule set, ultras have to play quite passive until they get their grubby little mitts in, and then go for those one after the other, get that vortex, and then reset to a neutral, and really able to restart it from there. Once you have that advantage state on ultras, that's when you win. But what Mark did is he threw off that game plan from the word go. And maybe it speaks to experience. And again, Gold Top, I'm not quite that aware of. Again, I was very impressed with his showing in that first round again against Tempestuous, who once he got that pressure off, he was nigh unstoppable. There was very little that could be done, but he maybe working on that pressure at the start to try and get that advantage state in may have been the play, because in a disadvantage state, he's just not able to do it. And Mark did an exceptional job, and I did not expect that when I
Yeah.
seen the matchup. Once I realized what the matchup was, I was like, "There's no shot, dude, no shot."
Ah, I
But
mean, you
now,
you saw it there, right? You
yeah,
saw what happened when someone was on the back foot and couldn't sort of deal with that type of pressure. Because I mean, it could be one of those situations where Gold Top is usually the pressurer, right? They're usually the person putting on the pressure, and maybe when the roles were reversed, it was like, oh, I'm not used to this. I'm not used to someone just poking me to death, right? Like every
Yeah.
other hit is stunning me, and I can't get a hit in because again, Mark was like he was evading everything extremely well. He also, I wonder if it would have been slightly different if it was a Zweihander because of the added range, because Mark
Yeah.
really spaced it. I mean, he just stood there and spaced it. He didn't even have to roll a couple of those attacks. So I'm curious if it would have been a much different matchup with a Zweihander.
Mhm.
But again, those are the rules of this tournament now. Is Zweihander's not allowed. So you kind of have to know the rules, right, and
Yeah,
understand.
exactly. And I think it speaks overall to the integrity of the rule set, Dante. Wherein, like, a matchup that's incredibly one-sided out in the wild, which again, the Colossal with very high poise, you see the full goats Colossal, is a very nasty setup. It's probably one of the strongest. But under this rule set, all of these players are good. There's no if, buts, or maybes about it. As like we've gone through the first round, we've seen the 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 cream has starting to rise here slowly but surely to the top, and there is a difference between someone who can really know how to use a crouch poke in this rule set versus
Yep.
someone who unfortunately still has a ways to go with it. And I'm very impressed with Golden Top here, but you have to remember, watch Whitnick, and you think that crouch poke is just the easiest setup under any rule
That's
set.
true.
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Now look at now under this rule set, someone who might not be quite as cozy as it has the tech down. However, their decision making isn't quite there. We see why the rule set exists as it does. I know as
Well,
someone who's not
yeah.
that good at crouch poke, it's a
It's the
challenge
thing
for
of
me.
different players, like I was alluding to
Yeah,
earlier, is
exactly.
like Golden Top could, and maybe his style works better against other players. It's never like they always talk about in MMA, like there's no MMA math. It's no like this person always beats this person because they beat that person, right? It's more of a rock paper scissors type of aspect with play styles when those are
Yeah.
concerned. So it's like maybe Gold Top's his style works better against someone like tempestuous, and but maybe tempestuous is a little bit better against someone like Whitnick.
Yeah,
It's
that's yeah. And again, that's kind of the point of a rule set at the end of the day, isn't it? To make it more player dependent rather
exactly.
than
Yeah.
for it to be matchup dependent. And again, when there is such a wide gulf in this game between certain setups, we have to put those restrictions in. So, it's not like other games where, the matchup might be 45-55, or a very,
Yeah.
very strong matchup might be something like 65-35 or something like that. In this game, it is a very wide gulf between the top and the bottom, and I think that the rule set definitely constrains those setups to be something a little bit more manageable, so the player expression can really carry it through. But
Yeah.
we are looking to get our contestants in here,
Yeah. I
although I
believe
may
we
have
have
just
them, right?
spoken too soon.
Well,
Although
I mean,
maybe
we
not.
have the semifinals now, which is best 3 out of 5. That the bronze match was a third place match, was also best 3 out of 5, and obviously the finals is best 3 out of 5. We have Inservins versus Slave Knight Koss. We don't
Yep.
actually know what Slave Knight Koss is going to use because of the sort of memery that was happening. So let's
Oh, we
see.
have.
Slave Knight Koss is close to us, far away is Inservins,
I'm
and I
really
think,
excited for this
yeah,
semi-final match, dude. I'm really, really hyped because hopefully, we'll see some good setups being used. Because
yeah,
it's hard to tell
okay.
with that last one, but give us the count in, Dante. Give us the
Yeah.
what's
All right.
what.
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, fight.
All right, of course, and Servants is in the far corner. Slave Knight Cost is in the near.
Ah, he
We are going
changed
to
it.
see the Lance. Double
Julesy
Lance here on the
glance.
side of Cost.
I know this is a damaging type of build. I don't see it that often anymore. This was sort of big a little bit earlier on,
Hmm.
but it is still quite intense with the double poke. So I don't. What would you say has the favor?
In
What's the
this,
favor in this matchup?
it's kind of a hard one. The double lance here is incredibly strong. It can basically two-shot people. If you land those jumping L1s, it's absolutely crazy damage. But you have to land them, as we are going to see the Raptors come out here once again. Out comes the Raptors, goes for the jumping attack. I would say in this matchup, in this rule set, I still put it on the lance because in servants here only can make one mistake. Or two mistakes, sorry, is he's going to take 425 damage.
That
Out comes
Raptors
these
is
swim.
working for him though.
It's working, but he's not getting much utility out of it.
True.
He's not able to actually. He seems to be very trigger happy on using them as he comes out on this running R2 here that doesn't manage to get anything. And again, he can only make a couple of mistakes in this matchup because the how damaging these double lances are. Again, the anti-air on the side of the double lances isn't great, and the heavy thrusting sword works very strong off of getting those jumping attacks. Oh, and he's hit for an incredible
Oh,
amount of
there's the
damage.
jumping
Go for that
attack. A
combo.
1,000 damage. Oh,
That's why heavy thrusting swords, that jumping
oh,
attack is going to be really strong. I think it's a pretty even matchup, all things considered,
nice.
as we are going to see a whiff on those jump at that L1 here. Getting nothing out of it is the side of Inservants. He has to be super careful.
Oh,
625 on the
was that
side of
for the
that.
physic?
I'm not sure. I think it was a whiffed L1. The jumping attack hit him for a counter hit, or and then that was all she wrote in the
Oh,
600 damage counter hit.
I believe that was 4 hits by the Great Thrusting Sword. It was the jump hit, the regular R1, and then the jump R1 at the end.
Hmm.
That's great. Like 1,000 damage on that, and that combo is the jump R1 into R1. And Slave Knight, he was actually playing fairly well. He was rolling out of things well, but then in Servant switched things up. He did a jump delayed attack, which is what you have to do in the high level. You have to mix it up. You do this.
Yeah.
You saw it yesterday in the tournament. You do the same exact thing over and over and over again. You will be caught and you will drop. You have to mix things up at the high level. And I gotta hand it to Inservant for, mixing things up, getting the win. But you saw it was only basically 4 hits. It was one,
Yep.
2 mistakes, and that was it.
So
And Inservant didn't make enough.
you asked me a bit more on the matchup, and I didn't give you a
Yeah.
very solid answer. And I think on that matchup, the heavy thrusting sword is built purely around those jumping attacks. Its neutral game is its aggression game is it has the running R2, but it's very telegraphed. You
Yeah.
can mix it up. You have the Raptors there to add that extra little bit of, oomph to it to get that pressure right off the bat. I would say the neutral game on the heavy thrust on the not heavy thrusting, the neutral game on the power stance spears, at least in a vertical sense, if they're both going to stay on a horizontal plane and not like do jumpings or anything like that, I think it is a pretty solid game. It's able to, bat away some of that more aggression. It will trade very well, but it doesn't have access to the spear talisman. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a wash on that. Now the heavy thrusting has one thing that ultimately stands to it, and that is its air game. If its air game goes uncontested, which I feel in that matchup, it more or less is because of the amount of poise damage it can do. It can then land that jumping attack uncontested and then go in for the true combo to hit, as we've seen, for about 1,000 damage.
Oh,
I think it might be
disgusting.
a slight advantage considering they're both very high damage setups. But that remains to be seen. We'll have to see what the scientists in the RPVP are able to come up with
Yeah.
on the labbing of these setups. But Dante,
Let's do it. We have a 3 and a 2 and a 1. Let's go.
as we are on a best of 5 here, it will be the first 2-3 in Servants 1, Slave Net 1, as we are going to see a switch over as Koss is going to move over to the double straight swords, which I think is a pretty reasonable one. Really nice turn away there on the side of Inservants, like really, really solid. Now, this is a matchup that I am always super interested in watching because it's really hard one. Both of them have a really solid air game. Both of them can exist in a neutral, and not only that, but the ability for the dual straight swords to skip neutral entirely, especially considering that the anti-airs, unless they're going to go into air
Oh,
themselves.
is this sleep?
Oh,
Is this
it
the
is sleep. We're seeing the
Okay.
Trinas come. Never mind, the status pressure is a game changer in this one, as I would put this squarely in the side
I
of Koss
love
here.
this pressure here. There he
Oh,
is.
speaking of pressure, points
Oh
breaks
my
puts him away,
God.
meaning that Koss is going to take
Wow.
that, forcing a 1-1 in this best of 5. Ooh.
That I loved. So I was looking at that. I was like, I like that he switched off because it looked like the dual Great Lance. It wasn't working out for him. It looked like the Raptors sort of negated what he was doing, even though he wasn't getting countered. But I was like, I don't know. I like that he switched it up, and it has sleep. Sleep is very powerful, and I actually agree with LBU yesterday. LBU was saying how, I think was it Whitnake who was using Trina's yesterday, where
Yeah,
he
he
would
switched to it in
switch
the
to
end, yeah.
uh, but I actually agree with LBU in that I would more go for attacking again with the Trinas because you get the buildup of sleep
Yeah.
initially again. Even if it might be slightly less damage, it's just sleep is so powerful when you get it. They're just stuck. They're stuck there, and you can do whatever you want with them, as creepy as that sounds. You know, defile, whatever you want to do with the
Oh
dung
my
eater.
word.
I don't know. That's the way this game is made. But man, it's once he had the pressure on him and he saw the fear in Servan when you saw him running away and he was looking for a time to actually eat Abalas,
Yeah.
and it just couldn't do it because the pressure was there, and that was perfect play for that specific situation by Slave Knight Cost. So I gotta give him credit. It's 1-1 now. What do you think? What do you think? Because I'm assuming Slave Knight Cost is going to stay with that. What do you think Inservin should do
Well,
for
what
this third?
Inservans really needs to do in this one is he really needs to find that ability to counter pressure and then get the bolus off. He needs to find a way to bat costs aside and to use that opportunity to get the bolus off. Again, you can't consumable cancel using like either rolls or something like that, so you can get the consumable off and then just cancel the recovery with the roll. So you do have an option there to kind of lower the length of it. It's a rough one against someone who has the ability to aggress, as we see again another face that a mother would love here. I think on
Yes.
the side of KH Knight, he's ready to go.
Defile.
Yes,
He's all about
as we see the
defiling.
Dung Eater out, going
Well, we
for
we saw with
shenanigans.
Inservin, by the way, we saw him use the Flame Strike to back him off for a while, which was good, but Slave Knight Cost had like great spacing around that. It didn't get hit by him, so it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough.
Another thing that you can do just for the record on using sleep is you can jump cancel the sleep animation. So you do have that option there. It just depends on whether or
Okay.
not you can time it correctly. So if you jump, it does cancel out the animation. That is important to rule out unless that has been patched in the interim, but I digress, Dante.
All right, here we go. 1-1 in Servants versus Slave Knight Cost. 3, 2, 1, go.
And out we go, as we are going to see both of them are out. We are going to see the Physic here. We're probably going to see some changes here on Inservan, as he is going to go for that,
Storm Stomp.
trying to force that aggression off. However, Koss is really keeping up the entire way. This is going to be a rough one for Inservans. He's going to have to find that counter pressure, and again, it seems that Slave Knight
Did he
is
do the jump
not
sleep?
letting up. Spaces out. Spaces it out on that Storm Stomp there, and that's what you have to do, as we are going to see what is going on here. I'm very confused.
Yeah, it
Um,
looks like Frost, or I don't know what
I think that's a sleep animation. He may have, as you said,
I think he
jumped.
jumped in it. That's weird. I've not seen this.
That's an interesting visual bug here. We'll have to talk to the scientists at
He looks
ERPV.
cute. I don't know. I like the clouds happening.
And we are seeing it here. The counter pressure is going to come out, as we are going to see that Storm Stomp coming out. Are we going to see the Flame Strike comes out? Not able to land it out here. As he
this is close. He's done.
But is not close enough, as we see the sleep proc come out.
Slave Knight Cost. You do not see this aggression enough. Wow. He was aggressive the whole time. I will say, I think for Inservin, he needs to attack. It sounds silly, but either he needs something faster, but how much poise can you have with dual straight swords in this?
65, which is going to be poise broken immediately by
Okay.
anything that a heavy thrusting sword does.
So
I'm not sure about the kickflip, but yeah.
That's what I think he needs to do, because you saw a little bit near the end of that match, he attacked a couple times while he was getting rushed down, and the whole match he's getting rushed down because sleep is very scary and powerful in this game. I think that's what he needs to do. I think he needs to just mix it up, and he needs to basically take that risk of attacking into someone, because they are either looking to jump attack or just regular attack. So if you beat them on both of those ends, fake them out with thinking you're running away to try to get the bolus off to take away the sleep, then you just attack them. Like, you gotta fake them out, attack them. It breaks their poise every time.
Well, I feel that in Servans, what he really needs to do is he needs to find that ability to counter aggress effectively, because Koss is, I don't know if you've ever watched a DS3 tourney where Rotten Grew with the poison buff has been allowed, but the entire point of that setup is it's identical in all of these games. Status pressure is very strong. Is you keep that bar as high as you can all the way through, and you exist within their space. And the entire aim of the other person is to force you away so you can get that consumable to cancel it out. The bolus pressure, you need to cancel out their bolus pressure, but the Trina's has the ability. It is a power stance straight sword. It has that jump, that jumping L1, which is very strong. It can be a difficult one, but you have to make those opportunities, and then you have to capitalize on them, which we've seen unfortunately in Server
The
not be
thing
able
is,
to
I think
capitalize.
Slave Knight Koss understands that even if he gets hit by Storm Stomp, even if he gets hit by that, he's still getting his L1 off trade, and he's still getting the sleep
Yeah,
to
for
bar to
sure.
go up. So it's like it might be worth it. Like I don't really know what you do against that. It might be worth it just for Slave Knight to just take those hits. But here we
Well,
are. We'll see if Slave Knight can take it up 2-1.
ladies and gentlemen, on a 3, on a 2, and a 1. Allez. As out comes the explosion. Explosion is out. Both players are going to
He
go for their
definitely changed
buffs.
his garments, as you see.
Oh yeah, we're gonna see some more focus here. I think as both of them are gonna. I think it's a mirror match now completely. And again, this is gonna boil down to we see the fire prelates here, which is gonna have very high status. And I think this is probably the play here on the side of Inservens. Honestly, I
I
think
like
going
this.
for that
Yeah.
very high status resistance is going to be the play. And again, focus resistance is going to be the aim of this game, not going for those silly talisman swaps, just going straight forward,
Ooh,
as we are going to see
how
Slave
is he
Knight.
not? That's a
Both of them
lot
are
of hits.
stacking as much of that focus here. Here we see Inservants
Oh,
finally getting the
mistake.
pressure off.
Mistake
Both of
by
them are
Slave
going to,
Knight.
yeah, he didn't keep that pressure up. He's going to have to play very cautiously here. This is going to be a game of who is able to get that status proc higher and who's able to keep up that aggression. And
Yep.
I love a good mirror. I think mirror matches are an exceptional showing of
Wow, that
skill here.
range.
Yeah, the range is going to be rough here as we are going to see both of them going for those jumps. Manages to get the roll catch here is the side of Inservants. Forcing him back is Slave Knight, but both of them must be pretty high on those status procs now, and they seem to
Oh,
have
it's
pretty
got to be
good
one more
lanes.
hit, man. It
One
has
more
to
hit
be.
on that. He just needs to keep in on top of him here and not walk into anything silly as we go for these jumping attacks here. Both of them trying to set up for them. They're gonna have to mix these jumps up as we are gonna see a
Oh,
frost come
no
out
way.
here and prots the frost. This could be the defining thing, seeing as they are pretty even across the board. You may have been incorrect as well. We're not seeing that immediate proc here on roll, as we are going to see it here. Another roll, tries to go for the roll catch, not able to do it. Not able to do it again, managed to get the ghost hits there. This is going to be a really solid back and forth.
Oh, oh, this is
Oh,
getting
they're
close
so
to one more
low!
hit. He's
Manages
flat.
to get it, he puts him
Oh,
away!
the comeback. He had like
Oh,
what?
the point
50 health?
down! Oh,
Oh
oh, we're
my
getting a little bit of
goodness.
BM! Oh,
Wow,
someone's a
he
little bit salty after those couple of rounds here as we have a
wow.
1-0.
2-2. 2-2. He brought it back with his own taste of the sleep medicine. And that was close. Inservin almost lost that. Throwing that frost pot in his face hole. That was brilliant because he kept doing the run around, jump, and he kept doing that over and over, and it was brilliant.
Getting those ghost
Man, that was
hits
close.
in is going to be the priority here because even if the other person has the ability to reaction roll, forcing them to have to try and roll early to avoid it and then getting the roll catch then natively on the Trinas, again, Trina's is very negative, has negative range. It owes the developers range with how short they are, so it can be quite difficult to land those roll catches. But we've seen it there; it didn't matter. But stacking the focus is going to be the priority of both of these players all the way through. And
It's close.
it's going to be
It
a
is
very close one
very
here as we have
close.
Inservens 1, Slave Knight 2. Inservens can't drop around. If he drops it, it's all over. It's going to be all over on this one. Although is it
I believe it's 2-2.
2-2?
Yeah, I believe that was
Match point. Never mind.
the fourth. Because if you remember,
Oh
Inservin
yes,
won
of
the
course,
first
because he
round.
swapped.
Yeah, he
Yes, never
swapped.
mind. I have been bamboozled.
No, it's just amazing that it's sort of a comeback on a comeback, right? Like he swapped and it looked like it was basically over for Inserv and he couldn't handle that sleep pressure. Like the pressure was
Hmm.
insane. And then he was like, you know what? I'm just gonna mirror you. I'm gonna come back with the same pressure and you're gonna see how it feels against you. And even though Slave Knight Cost actually was winning that right up until he got slept right at the end,
Yeah.
he was 50 damage away from losing that. So, whoo, this
Another
is
another
close.
important one. So we seen last rounds, the sleepy times, the little sleep effect was come on. We have one of our scientists in the background who was doing some watching of what's going on. This is the sleep effect seems to be desynced, so we can expect more little sleep clouds as they're sent off to the land of Nod to remain if they manage to desync it again. But ladies and gentlemen, we have the Jar Cannon on. We have the Albinauric Helm on the side, looking super cute, I believe, as we're forcing both of our players to get into their corners correctly. There we go. We have in Servants 2, Slave Not Costs 2. Dante, give us the
Oh, this is
countdown.
exciting. I'll tell you what,
Oh.
I won't be sleeping on this match, but they might be. Either way, 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, and out comes I was going to say bolt, but I'm not quite sure what that counts as both players are going to go for their focus buffs on this one, stacking as much of it as they can, and we're going to see a first ghost hit is going to go to Inservans, as he's going to be the one to keep up that aggression. And we're going to see the punish there manages to break his poise. He's going to have to be super careful. Out it comes once again here. Inservans probably has the lead when it comes to the focus out of this one, as we are going to see him take two
They gotta be
700
one each, right?
damage.
One
Gonna have to
each?
be.
I don't know. There
Oh,
it is.
but he's going to be ghost hit. All of these ghost hits are going to add up. Inservans is going to have to be careful of his aggression here. He's going to have to be super careful here, as we are going to see the Ballast come out here. Trying to keep that
Nice.
corner pressure up. Oh,
It's
Slave
close.
Knight's getting
Slave
hit.
Knight. Oh, what a mistake by the servants. It was his chance.
Oh, he manages to interrupt that, I believe, on our side. Ghost hit again. Both players are going to have to be super careful on this one, as we're going to see the jumping attack here. Doesn't manage to get the punish is Slave Knight. Doesn't manage to punish that whiff yet again, forcing a roll. Both of these players have been super careful, as we're going to see the Blue Feather come out here. Oh, he's in the corner. He's going to have to be careful, but he manages to break his way out on this
Jeez,
one.
this is close.
Oh,
Oh,
goes for the trade.
oh
In
boy.
Servants is going to have to be sweating on this one, as he comes out with the jumping attack to try and force off the aggression. Tries to go for the
Wow.
Bolus punish here.
I can't believe
Dante.
he got that. This is crazy. So Slave Knight is ahead a little bit. Slave Knight's doing really well with the delayed attacks, actually. He's getting in servants a lot.
Oh,
With oh, is
he
that
finishes
it?
it! Servants
I
puts him
can't
away.
believe it.
Not only the
Wow.
embarrassment,
He
not
gave him
only
the fast bow at the end there. I can't
I don't.
believe it.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. There's no way to make that pleasant. All right, that was some salt if ever I've seen it, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow. That
Oh,
was,
oh dear, oh
I
dear.
gotta say, man, you know what's funny? And this might sound weird. I actually think Slave Knight Cost played better in that matchup. And I just think he just lost at the end. It was the I think he played with the weapons better generally in that match, but he lost at the end because it was the unexpected timings of just spamming the attack from Inserv. And Slave Knight Cost was
Mm.
doing really well with the delayed attacks, punishing the rolls and the recoveries. But he, again, Inservant, it looked like Inservant just played on the fact that that's what he was doing. He was basically doing that the whole match. He was catching them. And then he's like, you know what? I'm just going to spam in your face because you're expecting me to roll since I'm one hit away. And that's been a tactic since even Dark Souls 2, where if you're low health, people get so aggressive. They think, oh, I got you now. And then you spam in their face, and that's GG. So impressive by Inservin to come back from that, because I really thought it was over. And I mean, he must have had overall, what, 100 health between the last two fights at the end after winning.
Mm.
Oh, man, I'd be kind of livid if I was Cost, because he was right there.
Well, I
each
don't think. I
match.
think at the end of the day, like in that second round, I don't think Koss, was really expecting the change.
No.
He just was not expecting it. He was struggling. It seemed pretty. It was rather unfortunate all the way across. But at the end of the day, what we've seen there is really solid adaptation there from Inservans. You said, he. You would argue that Koss played it just a little bit better, but
Yep.
it was kind of a much more of a solid back and forth. Both players seemed about on par with each other all the way through that, and it just boiled down to which of them is able to get that snowball off of the bolus pressure. And at the end of the day, Slave Knight Koss got two boluses off. I will give him that much.
Yeah.
He was able to find the status pressure, but he was walking into an awful lot of damage that otherwise he ought not. He was too focused on that
Yeah.
aggression game. The blinders were on that I am
I
going
can
to
agree
go
with
this
that.
way. And that is, these games do so good against targeted aggression. I think you said it earlier on the passive aggression, which I'm a big fan of the old passive aggression. What can I say? It's
Yeah. To me, it's just people are passive, but whatever. Whatever.
whatever. But we are going to be moving on to our next match, which is of course going to be Snapcaster versus Marcavoso. This is
Yeah,
going to
I'm
be an
pretty
interesting one
excited.
all the way. And whoever comes out of that is, of course, going to be fighting with the wonderful Inservan. But, Slave Knight Koss does have a chance for our third place match, as he will be moving through there. And, how do you think this next one's going to go? Dante, how do
Well,
you feel about it?
I gotta say, so I was impressed with both Snapcaster and Marcavoso. I think they are. I'm gonna assume that they're younger players, and the only reason I assume this is because they actually have been evading attacks so well. I mean, to be able to invade, especially a colossal sword, uh, crouch poke, and basically never get hit.
Yeah.
It's like what do you have to be at least sub 20 years old? I don't know. I don't know how old do you have to be, but
Gosh
like,
darn youngins.
but I mean, I'm only 21, so I'm just barely over that. Either way, Snapcaster and Marcavoso, they're impressing me with their. It's more of not even necessarily spacing. They are spacing well, like just normal well, but
Mhm.
it's more of their evasion tactics and being in the proper, uh, I guess, space for their attacks while not getting hit, and they're just not getting hit a lot, and that's a big deal. It's like Floyd Mayweather. The reason why
When
he's
he
one of the
gets
best
thrown up,
is
yeah.
he just never gets hit. It's not that he's necessarily the hardest hitter or the fastest. He just doesn't get hit, and
Yeah, and it's
that'll make you
existing
win here.
and existing in that pocket, where you're just outside of range and the other person has to make an action to try and get in on top of you. That's really solid play, and that's what we've seen from Mark in that last round. I think that's a beautiful analogy, I think, but will Mark be able to go? Because Snapcaster's smarter than your average bear. You
Yeah.
gotta be aware of that one. But Dante, darling, if you'd be ever so kind as to give us
Oof.
the count in.
I will say with Inservin and Slave Knight Cost, I don't know if we are going to get like as much of a competitive match because that was crazy. But
Yep.
either way, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Let us go. As the bolt goes out here, we are going to see both players are going to go for their buffs. I
We
can't
got
quite
dual
recall.
straight sword
Yeah,
coded.
Coded is out, and we are going to see heavy thrust. Is it in thrusting sword again versus Coded? As we're seeing some really nice footsies here in the side of Marcavoso right off the bat. Going for those trades though, getting an awful lot of damage. I think
What did he
Snapcaster
switch
fairly.
to here?
We're seeing the switch to what seems to be just a rapier, as we are seeing the switch off of. Oh, those two
Oh, the
hits not going to be enough.
damage.
He's going to have to poise
Is that
count his saber.
frenzy? Oh, no, fire, fire. Okay.
No, he's going to be on what I would imagine is the flame art here, is the side of Snapcaster, as it is going to get that faith scaling, as we are going to see
Look at the
Marcavoso.
spacing.
Really solid stuff. Goes for that poise break here. Manages to pop the
Oh,
bubble,
he
although
can't
Mark
get
is
that
going for those
poise.
trades. He's not able to take those trades. He's going to have to
Oh,
be
he's
super
got
careful.
no health.
He has no health. He's not going to be able to do it. As good as his footsie game is, he's not able to really stay in there. Again, we talked about that pocket, and unfortunately, he's not able to make as good an advantage out of it.
Oh, that's it.
That is going to be
That was poise.
Marcavoso.
I gotta be honest. That was straight up poise. Marcavoso was attacking into him, and Snapcaster, I looked like they understood the matchup better as far as
Yes.
poise. I don't care. You hit me with 200 damage. I'll just hit you with 400 or 500, and then
Mm,
maybe just repeat that on the roll or whatever. So
yeah.
I do think Markavosa actually did play rather well as far as the spacing and the timing of his attacks. But again, if he's gonna go the aggressive route and try to be aggressive with someone who can tank a hit and then attack you for more damage, it's not going to work. It won't work here. He's got to throw out more knives. He's got to set his attacks up more and kind of stick and move. So hopefully we'll see a little bit different play on this next one.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to see again. I think he had some good ideas there. He was looking for those moments to really like punish those whiffs, and I think he did a good job. But he overcommitted at just the worst opportunities. He didn't force a roll. He didn't poise count as well as I feel like he did in the first
Yeah.
round. And again, maybe it's purely down. The Snapcaster has been involved in all of these tournaments, and as far as I'm aware, he is a Dark Souls 3 vet, perhaps
Yep.
longer. Again, these PlayStation players, as they have done nothing but surprise me all the way through these tournaments. I'm not quite as familiar with them, but I would imagine he's showing his skill here. He knows he can tank those hits, and he knows that he's going to be able to out damage just super, super hard. And you will get those counter hits on the side of that single rapier and the double-handed rapier. It's not going to matter. He's going to be able to out trade all day long, but it's going to be a curious one to see how he's going to be able to go on this next one. How is he going to adapt? Is he going to get that spacing slightly cleaner? Is he going to go for that hit and that run out and then try and hit again the potential
Yeah,
punish?
I think he's going to play the same, except he's going to be more passive. And I think that's actually the right move. I think the right move is to stick and move, be more passive, wait for the jump attack, make sure they whiff, obviously. And I think that's what he should do, because the aggression didn't work because of the poise, and he's just getting out damaged. So if he doesn't do that, I feel like he's just going to drop another round. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe
maybe.
maybe he needs 2 rounds to recalibrate himself. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, it's not going to matter as we have Knight here. A little bit jelly on the back of his head there, but he is going to crack on. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Are you ready spiritually, mentally, physically,
Oh, I'm excited.
emotionally?
I want to see Markavosa bring this one back.
On this semi-final match on a 3 and a 2 and a 1. Allez. We are going to see both of our players go for the
Oh,
exact black flame protection, it
okay.
seems here. And going for that war cry as well, it seems, as we are going to see that poise counting that is going to be very important in this matchup. Again, it's going to take at the very least, 2 or 1s on the side of Markavoso to poise break here. Maybe one running attack might be sufficient, but we see this really solid footsies game here. Tries to set up for that running. Goes 366 damage. I believe Snapcaster
Oh,
barely wins that as we're taken out of the action there very briefly. Goes for
oh, he
those
can't
counter
be in the
hits, but
pocket.
he can't stay in there. He's going to have to... That aggressive spacing is going to have to be just that little bit tighter.
I see him fighting against it. He wants to be aggressive, but he's like, ugh, I can't.
But we are going to see some really heavy damage. However,
Oh, what?
Snapcaster's very
He's got him
low.
in.
Going for those, and I
Is that
think...
it?
That's all
Yeah,
she
he's
wrote,
dead.
ladies and gentlemen.
Wow, good job. So he sort of like took what you were saying that he should do. He had a better, I guess, time of being aggressive, meaning
Yeah.
he picked the better times
Yep.
and it worked out for him. He was just doing it at just the right intervals. He wasn't being stupid aggressive, although in the corner he almost got himself trapped, but he got himself out of it just in time to not take, 800 damage or whatever 2 L1s will do.
Yeah.
And he did it right. He tied the series up now, 1-1, best 3 out of 5. So now, again, I feel like this is sort of like a repeat of last semifinals match. What do you think Snapcaster can do now to go against what Markavoso's playstyle has done?
Do the exact same, but better. Do the exact same as what Markavoso's trying to go for. Again, he can't just land off of those I call them the one shots where he just hits and runs off, He needs to use the ability for those straight swords to tank a hit, to get his grubby little hands in, those grubby little mitts in, and then snowball that aggression into some really, really high damage. But he does not have access to the very high poise that Mark does. So he's going to have to land not one, but at least two L1s to be able to poise break. But what he needs to do is he needs to stay in that pocket. He needs to, because he can out damage him. Just flat out. There's no if, buts, or maybes. Wait for those whiffs. Wait, try and get those strafes in on those heavy running attacks.
Yeah.
That's what he really wants to do. He wants to find those opportunities to punish and skip neutral, ideally with those jumping L1s. Those jumping L1s are going to come in clutch here to try and set up because the anti-air on the rapier is not sufficient. Yes, it has really good tracking. No, you cannot strafe it, but you can jump over it. Depending on the latency, you'll be able to avoid it entirely. A Raptors of the Mist here might not be a particularly bad idea.
Interesting.
Even if you're... Because you get the Raptors, he picks the wrong moment to aggress on that whiff,
I actually
and you
like
end up
that, yeah.
jumping. You actually end up getting that jumping attack. And even if you don't go for it, it forces a roll, which you can
Yep.
then go for a roll catch in the L1 and do insane amounts of damage on that Flame Art. So that would be my thoughts. You know,
I agree. I agree with you. That Raptors, especially in a match where roll punishes are definitely a thing here. I can see that actually being beneficial because it's better to not get hit than to get hit. Obviously, it
just
sounds silly, but
so what you're trying to say here is just don't get hit forehead. Is it kind of
well, no, it's more like if you try to roll, like why put yourself in a position that gets you or even has a chance to get you hit. Whereas it seems like Raptors for certain matchups, it at least has the ability to make things reset neutral. Maybe you don't have the advantage after it, but at least it could reset and you don't take damage trying to stick and move and get in there. So I do like that actually for this, but I don't think they're going to change that. I don't know if they have that in their arsenal. I don't know how that works for these players, but we'll see.
One of the things that I can say beyond doubt is that the counter hits are going to be very strong. They're kind of the things going to. Oh, Knight. Oh, Knight, you've distracted me now, darling. How could you?
Fungus legs.
As we are ready to get this one cracking. Do you expect to see the same but better on both of these players?
I think it's going to be the exact same match, if I'm being honest. I think it's going to be the exact same match. I think Snapcaster might be a little bit slower. Maybe, things will be a little bit, because this is semifinals, they might be, I think they're both going to be a little bit more measured, and I think they're just learning each other's play styles, and that's how it's going to go. But either way, if you can count us down, 1-1 Snapcaster, Mark Lavoso, let's go.
On a 3, on a 2, on a 1. Allez. As out goes the bolt here, ladies and gentlemen. Both players are going to know the punish on the lightning stick there is going to be the side of Snapcaster, who is going to be coded on one. And of course, both of them. We're going to see the dual Noble Slender Flame Art. I think that's going to be the play here, as we are going to see the thrusting sword on the side of course, Marcovoso. And again, you said we were going to be measured, and we're seeing just that here. And we're looking for that running attack here from neutral. I'm going to guess that may or may not have been a misinput on the side of Snapcaster. A miracle he wasn't poise broken, however. Coming out of that exchange, it seems that Marcovoso is slightly lower. Looking for those moments to get that counter aggression, just to go for those pokes, just to try and get those counter hits.
He's having an issue sort of getting his timing here. Oh, that was nice, but that running an L1 actually is not that bad as a roll catch. Oh, that damage! That was quick. All right, I'll be honest, I didn't see that happen. That was too fast.
So what happened there was, and what happened all the way through, was that we were getting he was losing individual exchanges, but he was getting only barely. So he get his hits in, he get that R2 in, he was able to get good damage. True, Snapcaster was able to get those L1s in and maybe win the exchanges, but he was slowly but surely been brought down. All Snapcaster needed to do in all of that was lose one exchange, which he did at the very end there, because Mark was able to he had him read, he knew exactly what he was going to go for, and went in for that counter hit and put him away. And that's...
I didn't think it was that low. Did he not have the physic for the added health? I think
he killed him through it.
Really? I didn't think that had that damage. I mean, that's not even a great...
Counter hits do a lot of damage in this game. If you're low, and if you're low enough to be killed through the physic, That's all it takes. Just one nasty counter hit and a follow-up R1 to just kind of completely put it out with an also on a counter hit. Snapcaster just wanted to unga bunga his way out of it, and unfortunately,
That you're right. Actually,
that
you're
and
completely right.
yep,
That's what was his ultimate fail at the end
yeah,
there was he was going back to what people probably play most often is with more poise, right? More poise. So maybe he like, in his brain cuz he's used to just doing random fight clubs, maybe he just got stuck in that mode of, oh, I can poise through this. This is a little mimbly pimbly little thing. I don't
yeah.
care about this. And then he just ate what, like 1200 damage, whatever it was. That's pretty insane.
I'm not so certain if there was a stat. I don't believe there was a status on that rapier. I'm not entirely sure. I believe
I don't think
people are saying
so.
it is clean rot. Status would have been very, very strong in that matchup because, like, that little bit of burst and that constant niggling in the side of Snapcaster's head, where it's like, oh, am I going to get procced? I'm going to have to roll this one. It's going to be that would have come in clutch. But yeah, it's we're gonna have to see. Snapcaster's gonna have to be much more careful. He's not gonna be able to just kind of like L1 to counter pressure here. He's gonna have to be much, much more
Yep.
careful as we are gonna see the Serpent
Yeah, I
here.
mean, I do want to see what Snapcaster does. Like I said before, like I think more measured, but maybe I don't know. Maybe he's not as well versed in this specific matchup. And Markavos was playing really well. I don't know. I
It's
think
a
honestly, I think it's like
2-1.
50-50, if I'm being honest right now.
It's really hard to tell. Again, we're 2-1 to the side of Marcovosa, who's in their near corner. Snapcasters. If he doesn't manage to find a way to deal with this, he's going to be sent not only onto a loading screen but also home, ladies and gentlemen, on a 3 and a 2 and a 1. Allez.
Let's do it.
Apparently the bolt is going to go out slightly later. But yeah, we're going to have it here. The Black
There's
Flame
the
Protection
buffs.
is going to come out here. Both of them are going to go for their physic. We are going to see the War Cry here to try and maximize his damage so he can win those trades. But not sure if trading is really what he wants to do. He does win them, but we've seen it didn't count for much considering it was hit with that counter damage. As we are going to see this really solid neutral game. Sets up
Charged
for an
R2.
R2. Really nice R2 there, kind of on a read heavy there. Manages to land for 225 damage. However, I think in that exchange, it's actually going to be Mark who's going to take the winning one all the way through that. But only just as we are going to see the Endure come out here. Fluzutter will be over the moon on that one. As we are going to see a jumping. Goes for the
Nice
413
spacing.
damage on that one. I think Snapcaster's afraid. That's what
You
I
might
think's
be
going on
right.
here. He's not
Uh,
very confident in his plays here, and that's going to count for an awful lot. And again, the ghost hits there, wins that doesn't win that exchange. Oh, he is
I
going to
like
be
the
corner
spam.
pressured.
The problem is Markavos is really doing well on spacing and not just running into spam. He's just right outside of the range. It's very impressive to see this actually. Like
And
even on the jump attacks, he's not just
yeah,
biting on everything.
it's interesting as well as he's kind of read what Snapcaster wants to do, so he's setting up for these R1 R1s. He'll R1 in a whiff and then hope that Snapcaster walks into it. That's some real end attack right there.
Oh,
As the
both
bubble
procs.
is popped on the side of Snapcaster, whatever he has left, he's going to have left. However, it seems that Marcovoso may have had his bubble popped as well. Goes for
Oh,
the
nice!
and he roll catches it
Wow.
away.
The roll catch and the panic at the end. Impressive showing by Marcaveso. Wow, that was impressive at the end there. He read him like a book.
Oh,
He got him with the was that the running R2? The running
that was a
R2?
running R2 to do the poise break and then an R1 follow up to put him.
Wow, that was I gotta say, Marcaveso, I'm impressed with the way you're playing, especially with what I would say people wouldn't even put would they put thrusting swords even in top 5 weapon classes?
I wouldn't, not after today, but after today with the play, with the really solid fundamentals here. Like, I'm going to be honest, I want to go on PSN now to play with Mark because that was some really impressive spacing
Let's get you
there.
that PS5, bro.
I've been looking, dude, but oh my word. That was absolutely incredible here. And we will, of course, be seeing Snapcaster going up against Slave Knight in the third round match. And we are, of course, going to go for a little break after this round. But Dante, is there any more thoughts on that round?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts. I mean, especially with the upcoming matches. I'm actually really excited for the bronze match. And I don't want to sound mean, but a lot of times I don't really care about the bronze match because I want the finals. Like I just want the
Cruel.
aggressive finals. But in
Cruel
this
and
specific
unusual.
the in this specific matchup, the semifinals, both of the semifinals were pretty close, very competitive, which means, well, which should mean anyway, that Slave Knight Cost versus Snapcaster in the bronze match, which is coming up next after a break, will be very close, very hotly and
Yep.
highly contested, and again with the final. So we are going to see, at the very least, 6 more very competitive matches. Very
Yes.
competitive. And it's interesting because Mark Avesso going into the finals, I don't will Inservin go back to actually what was he using before he switched to the Trinas?
He was
Um
using, if I recall correctly, wasn't it a heavy thrusting sword, if I'm not
so could it
mistaken?
be heavy thrusting versus OG thrusting? Could it be could this be the who's got
It's
the bigger
I could be
thruster?
mistaken now, so but what I will say could be even Trina's versus now as we've seen there, the status pressure is going to make a huge difference because if he does go on Trina's and but it is going to be very lat dependent if they are both going to go on the thrusting. Being able to strafe the heavy thrusting R1s or the going for the running R2s is going to be a hard one. That's going to be a lat dependent matchup. I'm not aware of what the latency is between them. I'm sure that's going to
It
become
should be pretty good.
immediately apparent. It should be pretty. It should be definitely sub
We've
100.
seen basically no issues this whole tournament. It seemed like everyone's been kind of pretty good as far as latency with everyone. We've no one said anything as far as I know. I think it's. I mean, I don't know. It depends on what Inservin goes through. I actually think it might be oddly only because Mark Avoso has a lot of experience going against dual stray swords. I think it might be a mistake for Inservin to go with the Trinas,
Mm.
especially since they are much shorter than right, basically at most other stray swords.
Yeah,
So
for sure, for sure.
I think it's
But
going to be a weird mirror, a big small mirror, if you will, and it's going to be you're going to see high level spacing play. It might be
yes.
this is going to be pretty cool, I think.
But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to join these tournaments, exclamation point ERPVP will take you to the ERPVP Discord, which you will have access to the leaderboard, and of course you will be able to play against all of these players. Exclamation point ERPVP, and of course the leaderboard is the way. If you are high enough on the leaderboard, you will be able to play in these tournaments. So a special thank you to ERPVP, and of course exclamation point donut. These are of course community driven events. We could not do this without you all. But for myself and Dante, we will see you after the break for the bronze match first, and then the finals, which I am absolutely over. I'm so hyped to see this one. This is gonna be kind of incredible. But
Yeah.
thank you all so much. See you in about 5 to 10 minutes. Love you all. Mwah. Oh me, oh my, ladies and gentlemen, as we are back. There's just so much to take in. This is, of course, the Festival of Combat from the ER PvP server. I am joined by the wonderful, the amazing Dante. What the cluck? Dante, how are you keeping?
I am excited. Legit, if you guys like competitive Elden Ring, competitive really anything, just competition. These next two matches, I can almost guarantee you they're going to be so competitive and very close. They're going
This
to be
is
so close.
this is going to be crazy.
I picked Inservin to win early on, but
Hmm.
after seeing what Mark Avoso has been doing and how he's been evading attacks and getting in, sticking and moving, I'm not counting him out. I
Yeah,
think this is very close to 50-50. I mean, and even the bronze match, whoever's going to take third place and get the prize there, Slave Knight Cost versus Snapcaster, I think that is very close, like
very
50-50.
close.
I mean,
Yeah,
I can't pick a winner there. And again, it's funny because you see at the finals and the semifinals, it's the ranks, the seeds, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, it happens most
yeah,
of the
it
time.
is.
It happens, and it's funny because like if you look at round one, you have each match was a 2-1, so it went to the third round. Round two, each match was a 2-0, and then a
Hmm.
kind of a mix in the semifinals of a 3-2 and a 3-1, and that's why these are going to be so close. They're going to
Yeah,
be
and
so close.
it's
Ooh,
been definitely there's been some wild up and downs in this tourney. Again, you pointed out like Veg Georgie won, Arithmic Pulse 2, Arithmic Pulse barely making it through there in that round, and then Inservin just dominating in that first round two bracket. And then we had Zavadi versus Dartlingo. And while Zavadi may have been ultimately the fan favorite, it was definitely my favorite so far. That build was wacky, to
I
put it
think he
very
could have
simply.
made it like made things interesting. He just made a couple mistakes with the storm stomp, and that is all she wrote.
However, the world boss turned out to be Slave Knight Cost there in the round
Yeah,
two, as unfortunately Darth Lego was just not able to make it through in a 2-0 sweep from the side of Slave Knight Cost. Mendax Verax, who played very well in that opening round. However, Alucard with that crouch poke, the wave dashing on the side of the Uggs there, and Alucard's managed to break it through very solidly. But again, Snapcaster dominating in a 2-0 sweep, really dealing with that crouch poke so well. We had, of course, Tempestuous Atmosphere rising up a bit of a storm with a not quite able to make it, but that was a 1-2, of course, to Gold Top, who was able to really sweep through that one as well. And I actually misspoke. Alucard was on the heavy thrusting in that round before it was Gold Top who was the crouch poke Uggs.
correct. Yeah,
However,
he was the only
Mer-
one,
yeah,
which is
only one so
magic.
far this tournament, which is crazy to me. But however, Marcavoso, who I have been deeply impressed with here with the thrusting sword all the way through this tournament, dealing with crouch poke Uggs in a 2-0 sweep in that one. We had a little bit of what seemed to be a bit of a grudge match in the semi-finals between Inservin and Slave Knight Cost there with a 3-2
Oh,
sweep on that one.
that was so close. Cost, man, Cost was ahead the last two matches and just dropped it barely. I mean, we're
It
talking
was
100 HP total for the last two. Ugh,
It was
crazy.
it was too tight, and then Snapcaster in just managed to take a stock off of, unfortunately, Marcavoso, whose stock was just a little bit too strong as he was able to take that 3-1, leaving us now at this third place match, which is going to be Slave Knight Koss versus Snapcaster. And what do you think? Are we going to see a dual straight sword mirror here? Is that going to be the
Is
play, I
it the
wonder?
mirror? Maybe if somebody loses. I don't think it's going to be a mirror right off the bat, but hey, I could be wrong. We
Well, we are
shall
looking
see
for
what's
the
going on.
third place
Don't fall
match
off the
here.
side, please.
Oh,
You are so close.
that was
Oh my
just.
god.
Well,
Oh
we are
god.
going to have both of our contestants in here for this one, but Dante, give us the count-in
I'm
in this
excited.
third place match.
This is for prize money right here. So, round one, Snapcaster Slave Knight Cost. Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, go.
Yes, and we are going to see the bolt going out here.
And
Both of
that
these,
bolt.
this is a money. This is the first of our money matches, Dante. We're
Correct.
gonna be seeing some very stiff competition here, as both players are going to go for their flasks. However, Snapcaster is going to be on the.
Oh,
Ah, ha, ha, ha,
dual
ha.
glance. I
That's
like
going to
it.
be a messy one here. Koss didn't manage to get good returns out of it in that first match, however, in the semi-finals. However, this could be a turnaround. He is going to take an insane amount of damage here. He is going to
Oh, the
walk into that
speed.
L1. That's not going to be enough. As we are going to see these jumping attacks coming out here. Not able to get any utility out of it. Forcing a roll, though, on the side of Koss. As we are going to see both of these Slave Knight is really dominating the center here.
How did
However,
that
he's not
miss?
able to get that jumping attack out as Snapcaster interrupts, goes for these bits of damage. We are going to see that poise damage coming in here in the side of. Oh, but speaking of those
652.
jumping attacks, he can take about 3 of those before he's going to be in a really bad spot, but it's not going to matter. Out comes another jumping attack. Tries to go for the, holds it for the roll catch, however. Slave Knight is going to be able to
There's the
roll
roll
that.
catch.
Yeah, roll catch there. Goes for the jumping attack. Not going to count for
Nice
much.
roll
Is he going to be
catch.
stuck in the corner? He's going to be hit for
Koss is in
700
trouble.
damage overall. Oh, this is too tight to call for here. As
Koss is
Snapcaster.
basically one hit away.
One hit away, and he just needs one blunder here to send him to a loading screen, although
Oh,
spoke too
man.
soon as
There
that.
it is. What?
I know.
Oh, my. I don't know how he survived. Man, that feather is so strong.
You
Holy
can
crap.
take so much damage, and it stacks with
It's
all the rest of
insane.
your buffs here. Again, taking all of that damage, being able to get a couple more blunders out of it can mean an awful lot in these matchups, you know? You can survive a couple more blunders than you otherwise would, and we've seen it there.
Yeah.
It's just the
Yeah, I mean,
rule of
he
big
got hit with
numbers.
just one of the straight swords, did like 95 damage. Slave Knight Koss, I'll say this. He tried it again. It didn't work out for him again with the Great Lance, unfortunately.
No.
You know, it's funny because initially I was like, oh, I think this is good because he's going to have more range. But the speed advantage with the straight swords is very apparent. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what basically was making him lose, is that speed advantage and just not being able to sort of like attack because you're already being hit. That's a problem. I definitely see him changing from that
Yeah.
again. I would be shocked if he stayed with that because he kind of got handled pretty badly.
What it's going to be important to keep in mind, and here's something that, you know, is very important with those power stance straight swords. No, they don't have the same damage output in terms of like the jumping L1 on the side of the spears, the twin great spears. But what they do have is that recovery. You can jump L1 to your heart's content and just spam out of it. If they attempt to aggress you after that fact, it's not going to work out well when you are limited to that very low poise number. And again, just as a refresher for those power stance spears are limited to, if I recall correctly, a very low poise number, which, if I recall correctly, is 49. They might have raised power stance great spears are limited to 49. Yes, they are. They also do not get the claw talisman. They do not have access to the spear talisman. So
Yeah,
their trades, while counter hits, are incredibly important and can do a huge amount of damage. Just having that
yeah,
slight nerf means that you can, you know, you have the risk. Okay, maybe this will be a trade. At least I'm not going to lose this trade as heavily as I would have. And as well as that, nerfing the damage on those. You know, I think he took, what was it, 670 damage on a jumping L1. Had, you know, cost access to both the spear talisman and the not the lance talisman, the spear talisman. You know, that would have been a very different story. That would have been 1,000 plus
I
damage on that
agree.
one.
I think with this rule set, it's kind of the speed and the damage isn't enough to warrant it.
Yeah,
Like
I
you
agree.
said, with the claw and the spear. And it's like, well, maybe if he was able to get the range, but for how fast the straight sword is and jumping is a big part of it. I don't know how well the Great Lances can actually anti-air. I don't know if you unlock. I don't know how well that is. I don't think it's the best, but I think
Yeah.
it's too many problems on the side of the Great Lance. And like initially, I thought the Great Lance actually had a better matchup because of possible damage and range. But then I just saw the speed, I saw the jumping tech, and I'm like, I don't know about that because you really got to play perfect to get through that.
Yeah, and perfectly is exactly how you have to play. And unfortunately, none of us are algorithms. We do not have the perfect 100% optimal
I
play
am
on
a
these setups.
robot. I know how to do every. No, no one is. No one is.
No one has the ability to just, you know, constantly clock in. It's like
Except
I'm going
maybe
to.
Whitney. He might actually be.
Yeah,
a
well,
little bit.
we have suspected he is an android. It has been a discussion we have had, but ladies and gentlemen, we do have both Slave Knight Cost and Snapcaster in. It is 102 Snapcaster, and we are seeing what seems to be a swap over. I think we're going to see those Trinas out. Dante, give us the call in.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Let's do it.
And there we have it, folks. As the bomb is going to go out, we are going to see both of our players go for their buffs. I think is that Divine Fortification on the side of Slave Knight Cost. I think that's the one. And there's the Ultra. Out comes the Colossal
Wow.
Sword. He's pulling out all the stops today. This, straight swords are able to stand up in this matchup, I feel. And
I agree
that's
with you.
exactly why. The anti-air, again, these anti-air options that the Ultra has, unless he free aims it, are going to be quite limited. And the recovery there is
You
going to be
see the
another thing.
spacing, man.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have happened if it was a Zweihander. That's why this rule set is very interesting because it doesn't allow for this superpower.
It very much does, and the poise limit as well is going to be
Was that
very.
Endure? Did he do
That
Endure?
may have been an endure there on the side of him. However, Snapcaster is going to have to be very careful. As
Oh,
we
here
are
it
going to see
is.
the vortex.
Vortex.
Oh no no no
Oh,
no! Slave Knight's doing some really good damage
oh,
as he is,
Snapcaster's having an issue here.
and again been stuck in that corner against the Ultra is going to be super rough here. As he is going to clip him coming in here. Was he able to poise that?
It
Or
looked
was
like he
there?
did poison it, but that was pretty weird.
We're gonna have to
I
get some staff to take a look at that one. It could have been a random poise moment here, but we are gonna see it here. The pokes are gonna come out. Snapcaster's gonna have to be a little bit more careful, and carefully is those fundamentals, that spacing, the ability to punish here, not able to quite catch the recovery of Slave Knight Cost. However,
love it. I love the spam
uh-oh,
there.
both
That
of
takes
them are
away
good.
the aggression. That was perfect play right there. I love what I
Cost
just saw.
is gonna have to be
Oh,
super
that's
careful.
close.
He's almost put away that feather. Is gonna count for something though, as we are gonna see these fan daggers come out and now
He
put
might
that
be in
little
his
bit of
menu.
pressure.
I think he
He,
smells it. The
oh,
menuing.
we are gonna see the swap on both of the tiers here. We
He's
may
got a
see one
shield
piece
now?
of royal remains. Yes, he are gonna see that shield there, which is going to add an extra bit. I can't remember the exact name of the shield, but I know that it serves the exact same purpose as your red and blue
Yeah, but
feather
he's one-handing
combined.
it. What is he doing?
He could be
I'm
looking
not.
for that extra range, or maybe he's kind
What
of
if he's
trying
looking
to.
for a parry?
I doubt that. As
That would be
funny as
awesome.
that would be, out
Oh
comes the running
man.
attack here on Snapcasters. We're going to see the two-handing on this one. Oh, they're
I want to see more jumps by Snapcaster here when he gets in trouble. But
think he.
I don't know.
Oh, and he's going to be. Speaking of
That's
being in
it.
trouble,
Oh, how did he miss?
barely able to roll that
He
one.
had him, but it was slightly off. Oh,
Oh,
that's
but
it.
that's
Oh
all it
my
took.
god. What is happening here, ladies and gentlemen? What the flip?
What the
Wow.
what the frickin' frick? That
I
was.
oh I that was it almost looked like Snapcaster blew it. It almost looked like he right at the end. And it's funny too because he actually panic rolled. He panic rolled at the
Mm.
end, that last crouch poke. Panic rolled and it missed because it was slightly off to his left. I can't believe that. That would have been the match. It would have been 1-1, but now it's 2-1. He swapped over for something faster.
Mm.
Slave Knight swapped over for something faster to get that last little tiny bit of damage kill, which honestly I thought was a mistake because, well, crouch poke is so fast anyway. And I don't know. To me, I thought it was a little weird. End up costing him the match because Snapcaster understands that spam is still real. It is still a tech. You can spam in someone's face still if you have the means, if you have the wherewithal, and I liked what I saw.
Yeah, and I kind of liked what I saw all the way through that as well, Dante. Like, waiting for those opportunities to actually punish the Uggs poke, especially if Cost was going to over aggress. He of
Yeah.
course had the opportunity. Snapcaster was always in a perfect position to just punish him with that L1, and he could always set up for an L1 afterwards. The problem is though he puts himself at such a risk. We talked about the pocket earlier on. You brought up Mayweather, like you're on the ropes. Getting in that pocket and being in a position that if they whiff, that you were able to get a punish right after the fact. All all the cost had to do there to punish those L1s was just be slightly out of distance, put that whiff out, and then put another one out right away.
Oh, I see
Could have
what you're
been
saying. Yeah.
awesome, man. That could have been a really nasty position to really punish him. Because the over aggression would have been on a movement rather than another would have been in another L1 poke. So, it's kind of a hard one to tell. Well, it'll remain to be seen how this next one is going to go. Again, we're seeing Slave Knight Koss take 2 stocks off him. There's one more to go. If Koss isn't careful, he's going to be knocked out here and he's not going to bring any of that moolah home, you know?
It's still close though. Like it's not like it's oh he's running away with it. It's like that match was literally one hit either side.
Hmm.
So
But
it's close. It is.
which,
I would say it's still anyone's game, but obviously the advantage goes to Snapcaster. You have a little bit more breathing room when you're up two. So we'll see if he
as
can
we are
close it out.
looking, as Knight seems to be longingly looking in everyone's eyes here, we are going to carry on with this next round as it is Snapcaster 2, Slave Knight Koss Nihil. Dante, could you
Let's
give us
do
the
it.
countdown?
Could this be match point? Could this be prize point for Snapcaster? 3, 2, 1, let it fly.
Yeah, this could be match point again. There has going to be an awful lot of pressure here on the side of Koss. Will we see the Trinas come back? Or has he upset enough people with that so far? But no, he's going to go straight back onto the Ultra. Goes for an R1. That's not going to be enough, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen. As we are going to see the crouch
Oh, the
folks come
panic
out
rolls,
for a
the
little bit of
panic
damage.
rolls.
Uh-oh. Maybe the
That must have been
pressure is just
a
getting a
cue.
little bit too much for Koss. That's going to be, the pressure is going to count for an awful lot here. There was an opportunity to punish there on the side of Koss, however, he did not take advantage of it. He's feeling pretty worried, and he is right to as he walks into 2 L1s here, but not before getting hit with that.
Man,
Has Slave Knight Koss woken up?
I will
He's
say
too.
Snapcaster, he's getting caught a lot by those crouch pokes. He's panicking through the rolls. Maybe some are queued. He's making mistakes and it's costing him. Oh, what a
I don't
weird
think
mistake.
that was intentional. I think that might have
Yeah.
been a bit of a blunder, and what a
Oh,
blunder it
that
is
was
he takes
bad.
700 damage on that one.
Oh,
That
no.
was a
That
little bit
brought
of a
Snapcaster
mistake.
back. Honestly, that brought him right back in this match.
I think we're about even. Both of them still have access to the tier, as we are going to see that pressure,
That's
but it's
it.
not going to be enough as he kills some tiers.
That's all he had to do is wait. Snapcaster has been biting very hard on these crouch pokes. I mean,
Oh,
that's his demise. Now, obviously, it's difficult for most players regardless. But wow. That was wow. He bit this might swing things. This might swing things heavily in Slave Knight Koss's favor because when he gets the opportunity to go in and actually attack, it seems like Snapcaster kind of folds. He falls apart in that pressure. He
yeah.
panic rolls. He continues to roll. Because he's gonna lose on it seems like one L1 a lot of times one straight sword will hit so it doesn't break the poise. So he's like right in that distance where it doesn't work for the aggression. And if he's put on the back foot, it's bad. He got hit by what, 6, 7 crouch pokes, like 4 in a row, and then like 2 in a row or something.
Hmm.
Ooh,
Well,
it's
the
tough. It's gonna be tough.
disadvantage state, if you're behind against an ultra, we've seen this early on. When if you can get the ultra to panic and not play the game that they really want to play, you can just go to town is I think the correct word, honestly, because we've seen it against Goldtop. He wasn't able to get that aggression, and he was just bullied from one end of the arena to the other. But we see in this match it's a different kettle of fish now. Both players are very competent. Both of them are looking for those opportunities.
Wait, kettle of fish. Oh, I
Yeah.
don't. That doesn't sound. Isn't that what you make tea with? I don't know. I don't know if I want like fish tea. It's a bit rough, but yeah. Either way,
Well,
2-1.
remains to be seen in this next one how it's going to pan out. Knight, you keep distracting us with your absolutely impeccable fashion. We're kind of wowed, amazed,
Is
blown
that
away by
Voldemort?
it.
Who was that?
It's he who should not be named, bro. What are you talking
Oh,
about?
excuse me.
Oh man!
Don't
All right.
Expelliarmus me.
Yeah, the tourney curse may happen. Yeah, but ladies and gentlemen, we have both of our players in. Dante, give us the call in here.
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1.
Slave Knight Cost is going to have a pretty big hill to climb on this one. Again, he just needs to mess up once, and it's all over. But we are going to see both of them going for their buffs here. We are going to see the Colossal come out once again. Snapcaster's keeping immediate aggression.
Oh, this could start it. This could start it, man.
Oh, there we go. Get that wave
wonder why
dashing on the Ultra.
He's not jumping. Why isn't he jumping sometimes? Because he's going for the roll catch almost every time. I feel like if he jumped, it might work.
I think that he's going for those jumping here to skip the neutral game that Slave Knight really wants to set in. But Snapcaster's gonna have to play way more patient here. He really wanted that aggression early on, but Slave Knight is just waiting. He's just
Did
holding.
he switch to Trina's? I can't tell. They look.
I think we have a switch to Trina's.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I think that's smart because he's been doing a lot of trades, and if he just trades, he'll eventually get them.
Yeah, but the amount of focus that Koss can actually get up, and again, we see the attempted bolus punished there, but it doesn't come out, and he nearly was put in a world of hurt there, because again, that's exactly what Slave Knight is really looking for. He just needs to chill, wait for those whiffs, and then play off of those whiffs. As we're going to see the sleep bombs.
Oh, interesting.
That's
Isn't
an
that like
interesting
that procs, right? If you just stand in it the whole time?
If the opponent stands in it the whole time, as we do see the Frostpot come out here, we are going to see come out. I'm not quite sure what his plan is. Is he waiting for him to roll in? I'm not so sure, because this is the game that, Snapcaster really wants to play. He wants to play that neutral game. He wants to wait for those whip punishes.
Koss is doing it.
Oh, and there so he does.
Wow, Koss, is this going to be a reverse sweep? Can this be a reverse sweep, ladies and gentlemen? Koss is just mangling Snapcaster right here. Snapcaster is not able to handle these crouch pokes. He's getting blended hard. I mean, he is getting caught up in the mess. I will give credit to Koss right here. His spacing was really well. He understood that he was going against the Trinas. He understood that he didn't want to trade, even if the damage would be favorable. Eventually, he was going to get slept, and then it was going to not be favorable. He understood what was happening, and he accordingly just
adapted. Yeah,
he adapted, and that was impressive. I gotta hand it to him. I don't know. Would you expect Snapcaster to change his weapons now?
What I will say is, you used a word earlier on for poor Snapcaster, that he was being mangled, and I think that it's going to be his mental that's going to be the thing that's permanently disfigured after that match, because oh my word, like to have that lead, to have it held all the way through, and then unfortunately to have this reverse sweep happening, like that can mess with your head, especially if there's already nerves involved, and it doesn't matter like what stage of a tournament you're in. If you're fighting for third, you have the money in mind first of all, which is going to be a huge thing. You have the prestige of winning, another to getting into a placement in these matches as well. That's also huge. That's hanging over him. Koss can come from behind here, and if you don't have the fortitude to keep going on that one, it's gonna be wild. And I really hope that we get that really solid match, because he's gonna get vortexed over and over again if he keeps playing off of those whiffs.
It keeps happening. You see it keeps happening. It's like once he gets caught up in there, once Slave Knight Koss gets that spacing in the range and doesn't take the hit and actually can get inside, it seems like Snapcaster doesn't have an answer for it. He kind of just, I mean, obviously it's difficult to deal with it anyway, but like, man, he has no answer at all. But we'll see. It's 2-2. This is it. This is prize match right here. Can you do it for us, Enda?
Oh, I don't know if I'm ready, but you know what? We'll give it a rattle. Ladies and gentlemen, this match point for third place, Slave Knight Koss in the far corner, Snapcaster in the near. Ladies and gentlemen, on a 3, on a 2, and a 1. Allez.
Here we go.
As the bolt is going to go out, ladies and gents, we are going to see both of our players here going for their buffs.
Buff lightning?
Going for that punish. Going for the punish right off the bat.
Free punish, too.
Seems that it's going to be Noble Slender here versus the Ultras. He's not gone back on Trina, as we are going to see a single-coded of those playing off those
Dash of War. What in the...
What?
unblockable blade on that weapon is
Oh
not good.
no, we talked about the nerves might be getting to him here. However, he's going to take. These are going to be some really nasty. However, he does manage to clip him for about 500 damage all the way through at that exchange. But is it too little too late? He's been hit for an awful lot
Maybe
of damage.
not.
Never mind, I spoke a little bit too soon. As
Whoa.
Snapcaster is really still in the fight.
I think that the change in range on these straight swords is messing up Koss bad.
Yeah.
I think he didn't understand the range.
And we've seen it there again, hitting for another 177 damage there on that one, I believe.
Oh,
However,
oh
we're gonna see.
no.
Oh, oh,
Oh,
no,
this
no,
could be it.
no! Manages to get out though.
Slight
This is-
mistake by Koss.
I mean, the blunders are blunders, but he's
There.
gonna.
Oh, I thought that was it.
He narrowly misses it once again. Narrowly,
How?
this is
How is that
way
missing?
too. He's bare just shy of him all the way through here, and again, both of them are going to have to be super careful here as we see the wave dashing coming in here. However, he's a bit too predictable on those crouch pokes here, and it's really cost him as we see this.
There it is.
Disadvantage
There
stage
it is.
is so low, and what a disadvantage it was as Slave Knight Koss is going to move through on this next.
Reverse sweep.
A reverse sweep all the way through that.
Reverse. And I gotta say, Snapcaster, man, once he got hit with one, either it was a queued roll every time or it was a panic roll. Either way, it was essentially the same thing. He just couldn't get out of it. He was just stuck. And Slave Not Cause, he did it. Third place, he gets a prize. He comes back from the brink of death, and he does it. He gets third place. Congratulations! Again,
Congrats.
everyone was playing well. It just seemed like Snapcaster just couldn't handle the crouch poke. It boiled down to that type of pressure.
I wouldn't go that far. We've seen it in the first round there, and I think that was very important to keep in mind. In that first round, you know, Slave Knight wasn't very confident. He wasn't quite sure what to do. In the second round, the exact same thing happened. He wasn't quite able to adjust properly against Snapcaster, and Snapcaster did an excellent job of baiting out those whiffs and working off.
Well, he
them to get
wasn't
some good
using
aggression.
the colossal.
He was using it in the he was using it, I believe, in the second round. He switched over to it. I believe he was, and he played off the whiffs beautifully, and he was able to get that good damage in. But for whatever reason, something changed, and wasn't able to hold his composure all the way through it. And again, got very greedy and looking for those baiting out those whiffs, and Slave Knight waited very patiently to get that damage in, and just went to town. And again, GG's to Slave Knight. He played that by the books. A by the books colossal sword fight there.
Man,
we've seen waiting for those opportunities, playing off. Snapcaster would whiff. Same rules apply. And instead of being very cautiously, really playing on that advantage. And again, going up against Ultra in a disadvantaged state when you're stunned. You're now caught on that, the one button mix up. Is he going to hold it? Is he going to wait? It can be really rough and very, very, very good play. And I have to say, congratulations, Dante. What are your final thoughts on that fight as we move on to our next one?
I mean, I gotta say, again, and I've said this earlier, it seems like when a lot of players are in control, they do better. People are sort of more comfortable when they're in control, but when they aren't, when it's taken away from them, when they're uncomfortable, you see some crumbling, you see the cracks show, and you see that not everyone is as cool, calm, collected as someone like Whitnake, and Mark Avoso has been showing this too, that even in adversity, he's not making many mistakes, and which is why I think that the finals are going to be spectacular. But Slave Not Cause, he read that he was sort of failing against the straight swords with I forgot what he was using before. Was it a great thrusting sword?
I believe you've seen the great thrusting, yeah.
He was failing against it. The matchup wasn't good for him. He's like, all right, well, let me try the Colossals. And again, the Colossals are a little bit nerfed now. You have a little bit shorter range, and it's not the Zweihander of old. And he still managed to pick and choose his spots. And again, with lower latency, which we should have being at NA, he's able to space things a little bit better and aggress a little bit cleaner because he's not worried about such latency hits. which you saw there because straight swords are pretty tough to actually just non-roll space when they attack. So he was doing it really well there, which allowed him to get in, do the crouch, start blending him and bashing him up bad. And that's ultimately what made him do the reverse sweep, which we don't see often. I
We
don't remember
don't.
the last time we've seen
I
that.
I haven't seen one in one of these ladder tourneys in a very hot minute, and very impressive to hold that composure. But in this next match, Dante, what are you expecting? What are
I'm
we gonna see
expecting
here?
5. I'm expecting 5 matches,
We're gonna
two
go
and
to
two,
five.
because it's so close. Like it, as far as I've seen the other matches. Now, obviously, they haven't fought each other, and I guess there is a potential for it to be a blowout one side or the other. But it's so close, man. With the way they're playing, Inservin, I would say he plays really well against what someone is doing, and Markavosa just plays really well with sort of the basics of the
Hmm.
game. He's playing so clean. I mean, it's a beauty to watch, if I'm being honest. Like
It's shocking.
I want to see that clean play, and I want to see it transfer over to this. And can Inservin break through and be weird enough, do something more interesting, different enough to break through Mark's sort of very clean play, and can that clean play overtake Inservin? That's what we're gonna see, and I have no idea who's gonna win. Like, it's not even like it literally, to me, it's 50-50. I have no idea. It's not. I don't even know how I could predict this one.
However, this one's gonna go, I'm not sure, but we do know one thing for sure. At least that Knight has his Halloween costumes set up and ready to go, because that was utterly terrifying. Ladies and gentlemen, round one of the grand finals. Inservins in the far corner, Marcavoso in the near. Dante, give us the
Let's do
countdown.
it. Round one. Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, go. We have the
Ooh,
finals, best 3 out of 5. Let's do it. It's gonna be close.
this is gonna be
I'm betting.
crazy.
I'm betting it's gonna be close.
I think I'm with you on this so far that it's
Oh
gonna
wait,
be.
he's actually dual straight swords.
We're
I
seeing these
I don't
faith
know.
builds go out, and we're seeing really hard aggression right off the bat on the side of Inservins here. Where I was expecting Ultras to come out against the setup, although it seems that Markavosa has that matchup sorted, but he's being clipped for an insane amount of damage very, very early on. We see this jumping R1 come out, or jumping R2 come out here on the side of Mark, and as
Nice.
we see it there, manages to land a
Mistake by
great
Inservin
punish.
not to throw it downward, though. That was kind of weird.
Mr. Roll there is Marcavoso, so he's gonna have to be really careful that that doesn't
Oh,
happen
just
again.
missed. What a punish.
It was so
Margavoso doesn't
close.
panic, though.
Yeah, really clean rolls all the way through on this one. As we're gonna see the charged R2 come out to try and catch him. As
I
we are gonna
like
see
it.
the bubble pop.
The
You know, every
spam.
he probably should have thrown out a fan dagger or something earlier on. As we are gonna see both of them trading.
Nice.
Marcavoso takes the
Wow.
win.
Markavoso, I gotta say, he played that so well. So what he did there is he played against what Inservins was trying to do. He knew Inservins was low. He knew he was going to keep attacking into him. He knew there was going to be trades right at the end, and that he was going to have one hit into a counter hit, and he was going to get the victory, even if he lost, 700 health or more health, because he
Hmm.
was already at the advantage there. And he played against Inservin's playstyle there, all the while being, I would say, he did panic early and he got hit with one roll catch, but all the while playing mostly clean the rest of it. Impressive play by Markavosa. I gotta say, he's impressing me right now, and
No,
especially with just a regular thrusting sword. This isn't a great thrusting sword. This is regular, which, like you said earlier, you wouldn't even put it in the top 5.
I wouldn't. I would not consider it a particularly strong setup at all. It seems to do rather well in this setup in this matchup, for one simple reason, and that is his access to counter thrusts. It has a ton of Ashes of War that are really, really strong. But have we seen him use an Ash of War
I don't think he's
once?
used a single one. I don't.
All the way through this tournament, and it's a meme. It's the Elden Ring meme. It's like L2, the video game. But in these high-level duels, it doesn't seem to be as relevant as before. We may see a Storm Stomp. We may see a Flame Strike come out in these
Are the
next
straight
few rounds.
swords? Are they allowed to have the storm stomp?
Storm Stomp is not permitted, but it will be
Okay, so I
permitted
was
on.
wondering why, because
Yeah.
switching to something that allows for something like Storm Stomp or some sort of close range tech, because
Mm,
Mark has to be close with that thrusting
yeah,
sword. So
he does. Yes,
I
or he has,
think that could be something to look for if you are in Servants.
or he has to go for that setup for the jumping R2 to get a guaranteed poise break,
True.
and you can Storm Stomp as an anti-air. True, you'll get traded, but you get advantage after that because you can then L1 and go for the roll catch. You can L1 straight. You have a mix up there potential once they are in that countered state. So it's gonna be very, very interesting. Oh my good god. But anyway,
Heal
whatever
up,
on
Knight.
earth.
Heal
Yeah.
up, buddy.
Yeah, you do need to heal up, Knight, so we don't have the there we go.
There
Maybe
we
some of the
go.
players were a little bit enthusiastic. They
Beautiful
might have
dress,
gotten a
though.
little bit of a fright. I think it really suits them overall.
Mm.
But we digress in this round two of the grand finals of this, the NAPSN minor for the ERPVP server. Dante, give us the call in.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Flow.
Out she goes. The bolt is out, boys and girls, as we are going to see both of our
And they
players
are
apparently
statues.
chilling.
Wow. This is impressive play, I gotta
I
say.
think we may
Mark
have to go for
Avoso
it.
not
Yeah,
getting
well,
hit.
I could have go for both of them
Okay.
going for that there. Maybe, maybe they missed the memo on how the match starts. I don't know how they got quite
Maybe
this
they're
far.
watching the stream for your beautiful voice. I don't know.
Maybe.
They love
As
the Irish accent. That's what it is.
They're here for you, all right, Dante. I think that's the way it is. As we are going to see both of these players playing a neutral game, the jumping attack is going to land for a little bit of damage here overall. However, these air attacks are going to come in on the side of Inservans and Marcavoso's, really trying to set up for something. However, he has to be careful. He's going to be hit for some serious damage across the board, as we are going to see them existing in this really solid neutral, which, we're not seeing those neutral skips. However, I can understand why he'd be cautious as he takes that damage right off the bat. And again, Marcavoso doesn't seem to be quite as confident in this matchup. He seems to be much more careful. We're not seeing that very high aggression.
Nice
Oh, he
R2.
manages to punish that jump in.
Wow. Yeah, because he's in Servants is doing sort of the same jumpy thing over and over, and he just spaced it and knew exactly where the spacing was to get away from. Oh,
But
rare
he's-
mistake by Marcavosa with the jumping attack. Nice spacing. That's hard to do. That is really hard to
Oh,
do.
but not nice spacing that time. Is going to be whiff
Physic is
punished
popped.
really hard on that one, and both of the players are going to have to be careful. We are going to see the tear
Another
pop on
physic?
that one.
Okay.
Yeah, we are. But Marcavoso now has all the health he's going to have here, but it seems that Inservant does now have his tears active, and his second chance may come in clutch in this match as we see these jumps here. We are going to see another punish here. Oh,
this could be
Marcavoso
close.
is going to be punished there in the advance. We
Oh,
read it.
Talisman swap.
We're going to see some high damage output here on this one. Really nicely spaced. I don't know if he had to roll that one. Mistaken on the range on that one, as we are going to see the roar come out.
It's
He's
close.
so low. He's one shot right now. Is he going to be able to pull this one back? I don't think so.
It's close. I mean, what, 3 hits? I mean, I don't know how much damage he can get off of 3 hits, but it's at least 3 hits to kill Inservant,
never
right?
mind. That's 600 damage
600.
there on that counter hit.
Wow. Oh.
Two
He was
R1s.
smart. He was smart not to spam there, actually.
What is the recovery on those R1s on the thrusting sword as he hits him again? That's going to be the tears pop, and that's him out!
Wow, that was so impressive, Mark Evoso. He was down 1 hit for so long, and he comes back with the red feather of damage and destruction. I thought he had his physic procced. He didn't even have it procced. He procced it after he was down that low because he did the 600 damage. Then he got his physic up, and then he did 3 more hits after that. So he had to come back with 0 hits left on himself, do 4 more hits for massive damage, and well played. Absolute well played. Incredible. I'm impressed. I am impressed. And I think almost everyone would agree he should be outclassed, right? With the class of weapons. he's just he's playing differently. I think he's playing differently than most people expect, and it's working. He's making few mistakes, and he's just getting in the mix when he needs to.
You know, Marco, I'm gonna be honest with you. You can't do this to me, gamer. My heart cannot take it. I haven't seen a match like this since the Value versus Fury in the NA tourney. Oh my god. How? Being one hit for that long, Blue Feather notwithstanding, in a
Yeah.
grand finals, and to be not the first match that you're on like negative health going into it to take a win,
Man.
but like to do it twice, you can't do, you can't keep getting away with this, man. This is unacceptable.
He can't keep getting. I mean, we've seen a bunch in this, especially in the semifinals. We've seen very close matches, and it's continuing. Inservin dropped that one. To be fair, he had
Yeah,
that in his hands and he dropped it. He just dropped it, and that just shows you that you have to be on the ball. You can't get greedy. You can't, get anxious to get the win. You have to play solid through and through, and that's what we saw. So here we
and that
go.
we are going to see the Godskins are going to be the one to give this one away as we see the two stock apparently on. No, it's double Trinas. Never mind, putting us to speddy buys because this could be it. Mirko has a 2-0 lead to Inservants. Will we see a reverse sweep again? I wonder. That's the real question.
And it's close enough to where it's possible. That I still think it's close enough to where it's possible.
Well, this could be it. Mark just needs to take one more, ladies and gentlemen. In Servants, Nihil to Mercavosos 2 in this best of 5, a first to 3. Dante, give us
Let's do
the
it.
countdown.
3, 2, 1. Let it fly.
And we are going to see the bolt out as we are going to see both players going for their buffs here. Black Flame Protection here, going for that punish right off the bat. And every little bit of damage that Inservants is able to get out here is going to be super important. As we are going to see that jumping attack for 300 and something or other damage. That's a considerable amount. That's definitely a game changer. Out comes the Beast Roar again to try and get that extra little bit of damage. Out comes that jumping attack. Is going to be whiffed. No punish on the side of Inservants. Inservants is going to have to play super conservatively in this one if he wants to be able to take it away, as he is going to take 295 damage. That's the first bit of damage that, of course, Mark is going to get in this set, as he is going to take 392 on this one. Tries to go for the aggression, forced to roll out here. Inservants is doing a really good job of batting away that aggression here, Dante.
Well, I mean, I gotta say, I'm impressed with what Inservants is doing, because he's the one aggressing now, and he's making Marcavoso have to go on the back foot, and he's really putting the pressure on big time. A lot of jumps, and he's not just jumping randomly. He's jumping while he knows he has the range. He's not making these mistakes.
Oh, goes for that.
Oh, but these trades are very interesting.
He's very low. He's going to have to be careful, as we are going to see
that
the
his physic?
That was the physic drag here on the side of Inservan, who's going to stay right in his face here, not giving him the opportunity to go for those really tight spacing moments that Mark has been famous for all the way through this tourney. As we are going to see it here, manages to catch him for 39 damage, breaking. He popped the tier is still active, but the bubble has been popped. As we are going to see him here, if Mark is so low, although we've said it a couple of times. That the red feather is going to count for an awful lot in this one. Goes for a running or two.
Can he repeat that? He did it.
Oh, he's been hit for 118 damage here. He's so low. He just needs to be hit maybe once, twice more. As we are going to probably see some royal remains in this fight here. Inservants can just chill. He has to chill out. He can't be going for these really advantageous trades, because Mark has shown it before. He is going to just win them. He's going to space them out, bait in the attempted trade, and then just punish, as we are going to see.
Oh, you tried it? The old dark... Oh, my goodness. 500 damage on that? Are you kidding me? Oh, my goodness.
We're seeing Marco being ping-ponged from one side of the arena to the other here, but that is exactly what he wants, as he's looking for these really solid punishes.
Now it's one hit.
There has to be one for here. There's no way. As we see the fan daggers come out here. Goes for an attempted win.
It. That still was disgustingly close. Marcavosa almost came back again. I think he was about maybe one more counter hit away from winning. It was very close again. Boy, I liked what Inservin was doing. I liked that he was being more aggressive. He almost dropped it again at the end. It seems like it's that they had this in Dark Souls 3 where the hardest person to kill was, it was someone who had one hit left. It
Yeah.
was like they were the best player in the world in that last, minute when they have no health. And that's what Markavosa just, he turned it up. He turned up the juices. He turned up everything. But I think what he was looking for, which he's been doing this whole match, was he knows that Inservin is looking to jump, and he's just literally walking right under him. He's
Yeah.
walking under him, and he's trying to punish him. And I think he thought that's what was going to happen there, and that he could catch him, and he just barely got caught by one of his stray swords, and that was it. That was
Yeah.
close.
Again, he has to be something we've seen it time and time again all the way through that match. He'd go for those setups. He'd set up for the punish and the jumping attack. But, and Servant can just L1 out of that, and he more or less wins the trade. True, he takes counter damage. True, that brings it closer. But those counter hits count for so much damage. So much damage. And
It's a
especially when
lot.
someone's low, there's an old meme, it's like the fight doesn't start until you're on the blue tear stone. And this stage,
Yeah.
you're not, the tear stones have to proc, the feathers have to proc here before both players really take it seriously. And Markov also doesn't give up. He believes he can win all the way through in a game where the disadvantaged state is already very,
I
very
I
poor.
love that type of chutzpah, if you will. I love it. I love it with Markavoso. It's he never gives up. He's always like, "Well, I can still win." He's done
I'm
it
still in
before.
it,
He can do it
I could
again.
hit you for 700, for 500 damage a pop when I'm on this. This is winnable game, winnable game. But Markavoso too, in Servants, managing to take a stock off him in this the grand finals. Dante,
I'm excited. So
I'm
it's 2-1 in Servant. Can he make it? Can he make it to what I predicted it? It would go to game 5. We shall see. 3, 2, 1, go.
The bomb is out, ladies and gentlemen, and we are going to see both players going for their respective buffs. The Endure to
Punish.
get the next buff here is the side of Markavosa. Very smart there. That was an incredibly smart play on his part, as we do see Inservin here taking this very aggressive posturing. He's going to need to keep that aggression, but he has to be careful with it. As you know, Markavosa sees that opportunity to go for a trade. However, the mind games here on the side of Inservin are going to be the thing that's going to make it, as we see that really tight spacing from Markavosa, who will be hit for another 300 damage here. Has to be careful, goes for that spacing, manages to do 258 damage on that R1. This is gonna what it's gonna boil down to. Who's gonna be able to get that extra little bit of damage early to put the other one at the back foot so they can't go for these really nasty trades? What do you
Nice
think,
job.
Dante?
Well, Markavosa, it was a nice job by him. Yeah, I think it's the running R2s he's getting. You get a lot of range with that. It breaks his poise every time. And it's a really nice job that he's doing that in random spots and that he's not letting Inservins sort of dictate every part. But you see that these jumping attacks are kind of lighting him up when he goes for these trades, when he thinks it's not going to happen. And it's more of Markavoso is doing... he's sort of more evading in this aspect because he knows that he loses out on the damage. And I understand, like, he understands that matchup. And he got too close there. He's getting caught up in a little bit of hits here. He's still rolling well, but when you go for 2 L1s in close range, it's very difficult to get away.
So nasty, though. Again, really heavily punished on that. As we
Talisman
do
swap.
see Servants taking for that, as we do see that Coded's out. It seems the Black
We've
Flame...
seen this before, though. We've seen it before. So and I think Inservants even has his physics still not procced. So it's like...
No. He does have that second chance, and that's going to count for an awful lot here. What we're seeing here is those really crisp rolls we've seen all tournament here on the side of Markavoso. Out comes that
Markavoso
the R1.
has poise damage hit on the next hit.
Yeah,
He should know that because he just tanked it.
Assuming it doesn't ghost hit again. Ghost hits do poise damage all the way through here. He's going to have to be super careful on this one because, again, goes for that running R2, not able to get any good damage out of it. Goes for the rolling
how did that
R1, 500 damage here.
It's close.
You said it, I didn't believe you. So no, it's very close here. Goes for that with punish here with an R1. Trying to force these rolls. Markavoso
I want to see a running L1.
Oh,
Inservant
both
should do a
one-shot.
running L1.
Both are one shot though, as we are going to see both players be really careful here. Goes for those really crisp rolls all the way through here. Markavosa just needs to land one more hit, one more counter hit, and that is going to be it. He can't go for an endure, otherwise he will be put away. I think he is going to be in. He's going to be one shot if he's not careful, especially against Coded.
Oh,
Goes to that
oh my!
backstep
What is he
R1.
doing? He's freaking me out here. That's
Oh
it.
no, he's going to be clipped.
That was a rare panic by Markavosa right there, right at the end. He rolled without any action happening, and that's rare. He doesn't do that often, and it put him away there. Damn, that was close. We're seeing it. 2-2, game 5. This is it. This is for all the marbles here.
Oh my
Man, I
god.
gotta say, Markavosa, he needs to stop losing out in front. If he wants to win this, he needs to play like he has no health the whole time.
Yeah.
Play like he has no health the whole time, and every hit is his death. I mean, because he plays so well. He's so good equipped with his reaction and his timing. It was a rare mistake at the end to just roll and panic and then get caught up in the roll catch right there.
It
Oh,
could
man.
end up being a reverse sweep. Again, these one or two mistakes. He's playing very recklessly for trades early on.
That's true.
Don't think that's the play. I think looking for those whiff punishes is really the way he really needs to go all the way through this.
I agree. I agree.
Setting up for those R2s to try and get that poise break. Try to pre-space for the counter aggression that of course Inservans is going to go for because he's going to win a trade and he's going to have frame advantage on an R2 and the thrusting sword, so he can't get a second poise break. That's the play here. That's what he really needs to do. He needs to play this way more patiently. But match point again in both of our finals here. For third place, we've seen a match point.
Oh.
We've seen a reverse sweep and a match point, and we're seeing it here again.
I told you it was going to be close. I told
I'm
everyone.
Sorry for doubting you, darling. I'm so sorry for doubting you.
Close. It's crazy that it's turning out like this. Like, could it be two reverse sweeps? Something that you just said that you don't think you've seen. And
not
could
one
it
after
be?
the other. Not one after the other, Dante. This is crazy.
Is new terrain, new territory here. This is pretty crazy, and it's funny too because like these are super close. Now, the third match against them, it wasn't close in the beginning, and then Markavosa clawed his way back.
Yeah, all
and
the way
the fourth
through.
match, he got into a deficit, and then he clawed his way back again, and it was basically one hit again. And the problem is when Markavosa won, I think he won rather decisively. So what's going to be the case here for the fifth match when the last two were super close? But now, each player, they know how they play, right? I mean, each player knows how they play, and I don't know. Do you think their palms are sweaty? Do you think their arms are spaghetti? I mean, what's the deal?
I think you could be right on this one. I think ultimately what Markavosa needs to do here is you're 110% correct, which is of course a real number. He needs to wait, he needs to hold off, he needs to play it patient, he needs to wait for those whiff punishes and play off of them. And then he needs to really, you know what, Knight, I see Knight here curled up in a little ball here. I'm pretty much the same way here at this moment in time because I don't know how this one is going to pan out. This is a match point in the grand finals for this ERPVP's Festival of Combat, NA Minor for PlayStation, and we're going to see Marco on the thrusting sword again. He's committed. He is 100% committed. And maybe that matchup advantage, as cleanly as he is playing all the way through here, is probably the play, but Dante.
This is it. This is it. Barring, obviously a tie. Round 5, fifth and final round for all the marbles. Inservans versus Markavosa. Let it fly. 3, 2, 1.
Boom, as that goes the bolt here. We are going to see both players going for their buffs. Black Flame Protection here on the side of Inservan. And this is going to... Getting immediate damage right off the bat is Inservan. That's going to be first blood. However, he is going to stagger him here. Manages to get that R1, R1.
Two hits always stagger.
2 hits will stagger.
Endure!
Endure going for that next one. Next hit, unless a ghost hit gets in the way of it here, is going to stagger, of course, which gives Mark a
Oh,
little bit. Goes for the
nice.
R2. But there's a bit of more of a back and forth in this one as he manages to hit and then roll out the jumping L1 on the side of Inservants. The power stance straight swords are going to be very strong. However,
Wow, that second hit was crazy.
451 damage here. This is a very different match than the last couple we've seen all the way across. Mark has an
Nice
advantage,
job.
however, he will be
Was that a
interrupted.
charged R2?
It was a church R2, although I believe he was interrupted on that one. I don't know if he managed to get the damage in, as we are going to see this backstep into R1. Not able to land it. Has to be careful here, as I don't think he has poise break. Not quite sure. Hopefully the poise counting is going to be so important on that.
Yeah,
Although
very
it's
important.
not. Oh, 237 damage. 200. Both of them are neck and neck here on this one, ladies and gentlemen. As out comes the L1, forcing a roll here on the side of Mercavoso, and Servant has to be super careful here on his engagement. Merc rolling beautifully all of these
This is
L's
super
ones.
close.
How it's going to pan out here, as we are going to see clip for 161
Popped.
damage.
Oh,
Clip.
he's in trouble.
Oh, he's
What
going
is
to
he
be put
doing?
away.
I can't believe that. Markavosa. I can't, but I mean, we're talking someone who was playing so damn well, and then he gets hit by like 3 L1s right at the end. What an odd ending to an incredible match.
That has to
Anyways,
be.
let's congratulate Inservins on his victory, on his reverse sweep, double reverse sweep.
Oh my lord.
I can't even believe that.
That is absolutely incredible. Like, we had, was it a reverse sweep against Slave Knight Cost as well?
Yeah, reverse sweep, double reverse sweep. Markavosa was out ahead of that match. He was winning
The
that match. He was sticking and moving. He was not making those mistakes. And I don't know if he was in his menu. Maybe he was
it
thinking
could
he
have
was going to roll
been.
away or something, and he just wanted to get a jump on the menuing. But that was a bizarre mistake, especially since he's made so few the whole tournament. Not
This
to mention
is
against Inservins.
this is half of it when we talk about matchup advantages, as you know. How many mistakes did an server need to make all the way through that engagement in order to be put away? You know, that's
Yeah.
half of it. Mark had to take advantage of so many mistakes on the side of Inservants, whereas Inservants just needed to take advantage of a couple of them. You know,
Yeah.
Markov
Yep.
also played that very cleanly, but the mistakes he did make were capitalized
Yeah.
almost immediately on the
Yeah.
side of Inservants, and that's where it matters. You can be as clean a player as possible, but if the other person is in a position to take advantage of those mistakes, the matchup is going to matter then. It's like if you have a set up the two shots where the person and they're a good player and you're using something that five shots, you're gonna make two mistakes. You are going to do it. And if they're in a position to punish you for it, that's it. Now,
Yep.
obviously, dual straight swords in this matchup is not going to two-shot them. We've seen 5 or 6 shots all the way across, and Merrick had to do an awful lot more damage across the board in order to get those Ws he got earlier on. But my God, my God, what a way
Man.
to finish out this tournament!
Yeah.
Do you have any closing thoughts on this,
Well, and
Dante?
I don't want to take anything away from Inservants because Inservants as the champion, they get the $100 prize and they deserve it. I mean, they came
Oh yeah.
back, they definitely recalibrated themselves for the situation, and they won. But I really, and again, I don't want to take it away from Inservants, but Markavoso's play outside of literally just the last 5 seconds, which I don't know what happened. And it could even be an Eaton input if he's on PS5. I mean, who knows? Um, his play with what I would say is a less than favorable matchup throughout the whole entire tournament is incredible. I mean, he still gets second place prize. He gets $50, and he should be really proud of how he's playing. I think if Markavoso uses some other more favorable weapons, this might be a guy to watch for the overall super tournament. The overall, because I think him. I want to see Marcovoso versus Whitnake. I want to see how that
Yes.
match goes, but I want to see Marcovoso use something a little bit more damaging, if you will. Uh,
Yeah, and that's kind of a thing. But I think the match I really want. I'm probably terrible for seeing it. I want to see a rematch between, of course, Slave Night Cost versus Inserva, because it seems that
yeah,
they have some disagreements. I think they're probably gonna have to put to bed, on that one. Ooh, that was a messy one. But, ladies and gentlemen,
man.
we have both of our players, they really, and the trumpets are out celebrating the wonderful win for Inservants there. But thank you. I think we need a very special thank you to a whole bunch of people all the way across the board. We first of all need to thank, of course, the wonderful Dante for the wonderful
Live.
co-casting you did. I absolutely enjoyed it. It has been a pleasure working with you again, Dante, and I'm absolutely over the moon. Of course, we have to thank the wonderful KH Knight for his wonderful service as he blows the trumpet celebrating the victory here, doing all of the production side for this tournament. We could not have done this without you, Knight. An absolute pleasure. You've been kind of ill and you persevered and you got through it. And of course, managing the players, which I know is a task in and of itself. Speaking from experience, is the wonderful Zonic, who has spent his Sunday evening working super hard behind the scenes, and of course, the mods, the people, the helpers, all the people at ERPVP, the little scientists who've been doing have kept the cogs turning, keeping these rule sets coming. Absolutely magnificent. Thank you all so much. And of course, it goes without saying, ladies and gents, the players. Thank you all for turning up. It is a commitment. I know there's a prize pool and that can definitely bring people out, but for all of your play here, you've made this exceptionally entertaining all the way through. And thank you all so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go all off to the wonderful, the amazing Siri Knight. Do you have any closing thoughts on this one?
Knight or
No,
me?
Dante.
Uh,
Sorry, Dante. Do you have any closing thoughts here?
honestly, I thought the tournament was amazing. We
And
we
you've
only
been
had
cut
12
off. We
players.
just rated.
Oh,
I'm so
there we
sorry.
go.
It
That's all right.
automatically did it. I don't know who did it.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
You
okay.
can mute us. We can go. We can quit it there, dude.
I thought the tournament was amazing, honestly. I thought it was the last four matches were like tremendous.